This is a holy war.
Oh no!
Apes all die here.
Leave him!
You heard it up top. The virus has finally mutated, taken away our ability to speak, or has it? Because we're going to be talking a lot. One of the last episodes in our long form series. That's right. We're almost wrapping things up because we're covering the war for the Planet of the Apes here on Normies Like Us with your hosts. Yeah, Colin Donkey.
Mike Reese, thirsty.
This is Colonel Jacob. I love the smell of burning apes in the morning.
That would be
right.
Jake Eyes.
That's true,
Jake Eyes.
Jake Eyes. Yeah.
Well, we're once again back on that planet of the Apes.
That's
It's
right.
the first one of 2025.
Wow.
So, and we only have one more. It's kind of
almost done. That's right. We have
Yeah.
the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes next, and that's the one that came out last year.
Mhm.
So we're almost doing it almost a year after it came out, but it'll be good to revisit that one and wrap this series up.
Well, then we have one more Planet of the Apes
That's right.
film, and then we have our bonus film, of course, because
That's
we
right.
do King of the Planet of the Apes, then we do A Better Man, which is, of course, in the Planet of the Apes,
Yes.
and then we do
Yes.
King Kong, as we planned.
That's right. Yes,
That's
we're
right.
doing
We
Better
will
Man.
be doing the Robbie Williams ape biopic
Where
musical.
Caesar acts as Robbie Williams.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he's branching out. He didn't want to be typecast. Like, I bet I could do a mean Robbie Williams. Like, all right, Caesar. He's like, I wrapped up those other ones. I'm free up now with my time.
Yeah.
I
right.
believe I texted you guys with the trailer. I was like, dang, the remake of Escape from Planet of the Apes looks crazy.
Well, funny thing about that, I've heard that
Mm.
online people are saying that movie is actually really good, and it's like one of the
Wow.
best like music biopics they've ever seen because it's subverting the formula, I guess. But I still need to check it out. So
I think it's fascinating. I think it's
Yeah.
a really interesting idea.
I mean, sure. I just think it's funny too that most Americans are like, "Who is Robbie Williams?" Like, we have
Yeah.
never heard of him on our side of the
I'm the
pond.
most
Right.
famous singer alive. That's how that trailer starts, and you're like, who is this?
Exactly.
right.
But in the movie we're talking about today, I think arguably the most famous figure in Ape Society, everybody does know, and that's Caesar. We're once again back at it again. Andy Serkis, Ape Together
Apes
Strong.
Together Strong.
And we're doing War
I
for the
Love You,
Planet of the
Caesar.
Apes. Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And Caesar is the best, and I love him so much. And this movie was the best to me because this one is probably the one that I remembered the least. Rewatching it, I was like, "Oh yeah, totally forgot everything that happens in this movie." And going through these newer ones, I was like, "Is this one actually the one I like the most? Is this one every time I see a new one? This is actually, I think, the best one out of all of them."
Wow.
So this
Wow.
movie fucking rules, and it goes so hard. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Did you
Nice,
see it in
nice,
theaters,
nice.
Jacob?
I can't remember if I saw it in theaters or maybe I just caught it on streaming after it came out, but I just don't remember. Like, I remember Dawn way more than this one for some reason. So I must have only seen it once, but I'm glad I revisited it.
You see it in theaters, Colin?
I did. I said I almost said last week, last Apes episode, that I took a break and didn't see that film, and then it ended up being so lauded that I was like, I have to see the next one in theaters. So I went out of my way to watch it. Like Jacob, I've definitely only seen it once because I did not remember this film at all when I watched it, and
Right.
I had a pretty good time with it. I've got some opinion-y stuff that we'll hash out, but I'm excited to discuss. But Mike, where do you land, and what's your history with it?
Yeah, so I've only ever seen it once as well, but even though I was such a fan of the originals, I didn't really watch these in theaters much. I caught them later, and this one I had only ever seen on an airplane. Um, and I was like, damn, I wish I would have seen this not on an airplane because it was actually very good, So now
Yeah.
this is the second time that I've watched it in my lifetime, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'll figure out by the end of this episode which of these reboots is my favorite, but it's a really strong entry, so I'm excited to talk about it. Apocalypse
Yes.
Now, as it were.
And we'll have to
As,
do
you
That's right. Oh, I'm excited to talk about that. But yeah, we'll definitely do a ranking a wrap-up ranking of the entire franchise once we finish it, where we see where we rate all the old ones, all the new ones, everything, and we'll see where we come out on that.
Yep. That will be pretty wild. And then, of course, it is the War of the Planet of the Quiz. We quizzed it up, you maniacs. We quizzed it all to hell. We have another one ready to go once we're done talking about the movie. So,
Now, this is the Alpha and the
yeah.
Quiz Mega, right, Mike?
That's right. The Alpha and the Quiz Mega, the beginning and the end. Yes, exactly.
That's right.
But yeah.
All right, you donkeys. You ready
Yeah,
to do
I mean,
this?
I'm ready to do it if we wanted to jump right into it. You know, we just get
Let's
behind
go,
this
Ape.
waterfall. Let's go, Ape.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we are, as we said, continuing our long form series. You know what it is. We do an episode at the end of every month where we talk about an entry in a movie franchise. As we said, we're wrapping things up kind of here, talking the last Andy Serkis Planet of the Apes film. Yeah, Jacob just held his hand up to get me to stop whipping Mike, so we're back here.
Apes
Yep.
together strong. We all know
Apes
this to be
together
true.
strong. Yeah, back at it again. Matt Reeves returning to direct after doing Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. We have again
Matt Reeves.
Andy Serkis is our lead, and then we have the only other kind of returning actors for all three. Terry. I have it here.
Oh, Terry Notary.
Terry Notary. Yep, and Karen Carnival is Maurice. Yes.
Maurice. Yeah, we have some new ape characters, which I'm excited to talk about. I wanted to talk about Matt Reeves. So you mentioned Mike, Ape Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
And I was thinking about Matt Reeves as a director. Obviously, the Batman. And what I realized is he's really good at sort of being inspired by classic movies or movie tropes and sort of integrating them into his blockbusters and remixing them in an interesting way, like with the Batman, where it's very inspired by like Seven and movies like that. This one, of course, feels very inspired by number one, Apocalypse Now, which we'll talk about, and basically every World War II prison escape movie,
like the Great
Escape. Yeah, the Great Escape.
Yes.
Is there a director, Jacob, who is better at pointing at like two things and going like, but what if they were the same? Because I would even argue, to your point, Cloverfield, aka Blair Witch meets Godzilla, you know, looking at a monster film and being like, but what if it took place from the ground is kind of a similar thing.
Yeah. It's like, what if Seven, but with Batman in it?
What if Superhero 7? Yeah.
Yeah. Or what if a World War II movie with apes in it? And, you know, it just works.
It does. And there is some behind the scenes history, and this is not going to be on the quiz, but take notes anyway. When they were finishing Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and the studio saw the cut, they're like, all right, come back. We'll give you as much time as you want, like to do the next one. You did great. And so he's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. And to quote Matt Reeves, we needed to watch a million movies. So they rented out a theater, and the staff just watched a ton of stuff from 10 Commandments to Ben-Hur, Apocalypse Now, Bridge on the River Kwai, which was the book was written by Peter Boulier, the author of the original book. So they just watched a ton of movies.
Wow.
A lot of classic epics. 10 Commandments I can definitely see. I mean, Charlton Heston. Caesar I've called Ape Jesus, but he's also basically Ape Moses.
Yeah.
Monkey Moses.
That's right.
And to talk about Woody Harrelson, the villain in this.
Chimp Christ, Monkey Moses.
Christ. Yep.
Woody Harrelson is insanely Colonel Kurtz coded in this movie, Apocalypse Now. He's basically alternating between Marlon Brando and Robert Duvall's characters in those movies, in his basically impression of those two characters melded together in all of his scenes. So I'm excited to talk about that too. But yeah, definitely the War for the Planet of the Apes is very much a war movie, which I love.
Yeah, again, it has all those elements that, you know, we'll discuss that come up. Yeah, we have, you know, the Great Ape Escape, Apocalypse Now is graffiti explicitly put in the tunnel in the film. So like they're kind of wearing their references on their sleeve, but to again do a really emotionally charged movie about Caesar, who we love, you know, it's just going to be fun to talk about it. And full spoilers for, you know, the War of the Planet of the Apes 2017, baby.
The conclusion of the Caesar trilogy.
Is Caesar one of the greatest characters of all time?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
I think so. Look, I was watching this movie. I was saying, is it crazy to think that I believe that Andy Serkis should have been nominated for an Oscar for
Well,
this
this
role?
one, and if you're not watching at home, Mike just touched the greatest little piece in the world. Please talk
I
about
love
that
it.
for just a second.
Just shout out to my boy Rocca. You'll meet him next week. He hooked me up with this Caesar one of one, because we love Caesar. I like the character so much. I think he could be like a religious figure one day. That's how much of a
He,
Caesar guy
Absolutely.
I
you
am.
might get your wish answered, but this film, to your point, Jacob, about the Andy Serkis of it all, it's fascinating the evolution of the character because never before did I notice this, and maybe it's because we've seen more clips from things like Andor, and you just get so much more saturation of the real Andy Serkis these days. We talked about Black Panther as well. Um, that in this film, and it's so purposeful because he's talking in full sentences now. I was watching it and I was like, but that is Andy Serkis. Like, there's so many times in this movie where I'm like, he's so human, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's like Avatar, like, the acting is definitely there. And this movie came out in 2017. I was looking at the 2017 nominees for Best Actor for the Oscars, and I was like, why couldn't Andy Serkis be among these? And if you just sort of reskin this movie as like a World War II prison escape movie instead of Apes, and you had this performance from a human with no CGI, I think it definitely would have been an Oscar contending role because he's so good in this, so emotional, and the whole movie rides on his performance. So I think absolutely he should have been at least nominated for awards for this role.
Yeah, I wish the same. And it's kind of been being perfected over the past three movies. The technology too,
Yeah.
and like this is really the crescendo, I think, of the Caesar character and the Caesar performance. It's been kind of building to this level of pathos and
Yeah.
emotion that we really get.
And
You
he's
really
older
feel it.
now. He's
Hmm.
wiser. He's a leader. He's so charismatic, and we can see why he's such a good leader of the apes and why the apes respect him so much.
Hmm.
But yeah, all the facial expressions, like that's totally Andy Serkis, and like it really shines in this movie.
And the
Yeah, I
impression
guess.
has gone from going like, Caesar is home, to basically this Sato whisper that Andy Serkis does where he's like, actually, Mike, you need to go do your homework and tell me
Yeah,
about what you did later and goodbye.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Yeah, he's a little
and
more
it's
somber, a little older. And I just want to say, yeah, get this out of the way up top. The technology is crazy. I've been kind of teasing it, but we went from like daylight stuff to like a little bit of rain, and now we get snow and fire and just all this uh, tactile like feelings on the fur. And like it's not just the facial expressions, just the photorealism of these apes and the pushing them into the elements and stuff. It just never stops impressing me. So this movie still looks
yeah,
incredible. 2017. Yeah.
definitely. And Caesar, he's a wartime leader now, but he really wants peace.
Hmm.
Uh, and so he's trying to make peace, but the humans are just so aggressive that it's hard. But he's sort of an FDR or something where he's like trying to end the war and bring peace to his people or something. But I love him. He's a great leader. I would follow him. I would give my life for him. So
You would be the donkey equivalent of a human that lives
yeah,
with like
Yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah.
apes,
fuck
and
these
you're just
humans,
like,
man.
look,
You
it is
join
what
the
it
apes.
is. Yeah.
You can call me Spider, you know?
You call me pale skin, whatever you want to call me. I don't
Spider,
know.
pale,
Yeah,
pale
yeah.
eyes. Pale
Yeah.
eyes, where's your tail?
It's
But you're so damn ugly.
so damn ugly. It's gonna be the Andorians are just gonna be like pink skin, get over here. Like
Right.
Just me, like they're doing so much sophisticated stuff like farming and like all the, like holding guns and riding horses, and then there's just a naked me with my little dick out, and I'm just like making like some pottery or something. Like, yeah,
Hell
we
Yeah.
just
yeah.
like let him stay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
I would.
definitely one of those mute humans that's just
Oh yeah,
lost their
oh
mind.
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not teaching like in the Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I'm definitely just making
Yeah.
pottery. But
No,
Don't say
no,
no.
we call him Kova.
that's right. And the so we've had like Caesar kind of accepting his apeness in the first movie and taking pride in his identity of like I am ape and ape together strong, and then the second movie learning that the apes are not superior to human, they're just as flawed. And in this one he's being
That's
challenged
right.
on his own personal principles. Do I have that little bit of Koba in me, which we get into after the inciting incident. So it's really a fascinating arc that he's been on.
Yeah, he's still haunted by Koba, who was, his rival in the last one, and right, he realized, I had this idealistic view of apes over humans in my mind because I was raised by humans, but I believe apes were sort of a higher being or a higher, able to work together and
Have like a
not
moral
cause
high
war and
ground.
things like that.
Ape does
Yeah,
not kill ape, right? Like that was
right.
the whole
And so
thing.
he was disillusioned by the last movie with Koba, and he realized actually apes, they're just the same as humans and they have flaws too.
The
Mhm.
the lines literally being said out loud where he goes, Maurice, I should have known that Koba could never conquer the darkness in his heart. You're like, whoa, that's like the most anime line I've like ever heard in my
Yeah.
life.
And
Yep,
he
yep.
realizes he has, he's more similar to Koba than he realized in that he has that same darkness in his heart. And after this, the inciting incident of this movie, he feels he's filled with revenge, right? He wants to get revenge on the Woody Harrelson character and he can't let it go. And he needs to, to be a great leader, to not be seeking revenge in that way, but he also has those flaws. So
He
he
feels
realizes that
it.
within himself. Yeah.
Yeah, and they set up in the very beginning, the opening scene is we have some human soldiers going in. They have apes with them with the word donkey spray painted on their back. They have some ape
Oh yeah.
defectors who I guess were followers of Koba. There's a skirmish, and then eventually they're captured. And yeah, Caesar's straight up like, one, he's looking at the ape defectors like, you son of a bitch. But he
Yes.
tells them, I killed the ape who started this war. I didn't want to do this. I don't want to war. So I'm going to send you back to
Right.
your colonel. Tell him to just leave us the fuck alone. Um,
No, I mean Caesar is constantly trying to end the war and bring peace and say like, look, look, I'm not trying to fight anymore. Let's all be peaceful. But the humans are like, nah, we're gonna wipe you out because we're
Right.
humans.
Well, even the apes now, because I guess we have Winter we meet is like a kind of a
Yeah.
fearful and ends up colluding with the enemy donkey that was captured, and it leads to
So
the big inciting incident.
this was funny because when Winter showed up, I was like, oh, this is my new favorite ape. He's like a white fur
Like an
albino
albino.
ape. I love him.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, I was like, wait, I don't like this guy. And the other ape you mentioned is called Red, I believe. The
Yes.
donkey that
Red donkey.
is the most prominent donkey, who is a follower of Koba. He has some exchanges with Caesar throughout, and eventually might have a change of heart. But yeah, two of my least favorite apes in this movie are definitely these two gorillas.
Mm-hmm.
Winter betraying the tribe and leading to disaster because he was afraid.
Yeah. So he basically sells out the location of their little secret hideout behind this waterfall. And he comes back, he's got blood on his head. And at first, I'm like, oh no, Winter, you poor guy.
Yeah,
Then when you learn the truth, you're like, oh fuck, Winter, man. But yeah.
yeah, and there's some, I mean, allusions to like obviously the Holocaust is sort of a major theme reference in this movie. And so there's sort of allusions to like the capos or the Jewish people that would work for the Nazis in order to be spared,
Hmm.
um, and things like that, like real life historical things. It's like, damn, that's like real.
Yeah, and then also go back to we were saying Moses, and just, but it is like the Exodus and like finding a home for his people. Like there's biblical
Yeah,
themes and like historical themes happening very much on purpose. Um,
absolutely. I mean,
but
later they're all locked up in an internment
labor
camp,
camp,
basically. But yeah,
yeah,
um, pretty
There's
fucked up.
it's heavy for an ape movie.
it's
Yeah,
heavy. These themes are interesting. I absolutely get the parallels they're going for. We're all Americans. We can guess what the whipping and iconography,
Hmm.
yes, that's the other.
evokes for us. I don't. My first nitpick. I don't necessarily love the donkey turncoat stuff. I don't think it's ever fully given context for it. Like literally, like you have Caesar going like, and you followed Koba, and now you think you're gonna get in trouble from me, and that's why you're seeking salvation from these humans. Why wouldn't they just go start another tribe? Again, in the way that it makes the world seem so small, I guess I don't understand what is stopping you from just like getting away from this entire situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, first of all, we don't really know how many smart apes there actually are out there because we know about Caesar's tribe, but is that the only like pack of apes in the wild that's like this? Later we
We
meet that ape, of course, but
Yes. We get the context of one being able to spawn intelligence essentially by himself, which is an
Yeah.
interesting wrinkle to your question, Jay. But it is an interesting question.
But
Yeah.
I think as
Yeah.
far as Red the donkey, I think his point of view is sort of obviously, yeah, he was a follower of Koba, so he's already like a bad ape. And then
You're right.
he seems like he's like, I don't fear you, or I fear the humans, and I basically he believes that the humans are going to win eventually, so why not be on the human side? And so maybe they'll spare me. So it's out of fear,
I
basically.
mean,
Is
it's
what I
insane, but it's the same thing for people who vote against their self-interest now in this
Yeah.
world that I like
Yeah.
can't gather or wrap my mind around. So yeah.
There was a line in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes where, the apes will always follow they go to the strongest branch. And he talks about the
Right.
Colonel, how he's like, he is everything to these people. Like, the Colonel is fucking strong, Caesar.
Yeah.
So maybe it's kind of the strongest branch thing, too. And,
And Mike, that is such a theme too, because of course we go back to the first one and we've got the Frida Pinto being like, he's showing you subservience by putting your hand out and bowing. That there is this. It is the hierarchy is so built into their beast brains, but that might do it for me. I don't know. I just don't understand those characters at all in my mind. These turncoat apes. I just think that's a very strange wrinkle to take it to. Other than you just don't want humans to continue to be the villains.
Yeah, where you
I
need
just take it
some.
thematically for
Yeah.
There's sort of a
sake.
breadth of perspectives within the ape community, I guess, but definitely allusions to, like I said, the capos of World War II, or even in slavery times, like the house, that would work in the house and be treated better than the field slaves, right? But in they had to sort of sacrifice their sort of humanity almost to work for the masters. But
Right. Then
touchy
it
subject.
gives us the no society is a monolith, which I appreciate. That's what we were
Yeah.
establishing last time.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I'll take it as metaphor.
Then you look
it doesn't
at
bother me that
Caesar.
much.
Yeah, you think Caesar beating Koba in the last movie would solidify his position with all the apes, where it's like, well, he's obviously the strongest ape. Let's follow him, and the followers of Koba would come back to him. But I guess his position as leader has been shaky because he can't. He seems to be losing the war with the humans, right? So,
Right. And Winter's fearful of that, which is why he ends up siding with Red Donkey. It's like, I
yeah,
don't think we're gonna win. I'm convinced I
right.
will
That's
play
what
what
it
you want to
mainly
know.
is, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the Colonel, his entrance as a villain and as a character. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
I hit
What an-
pause. It's exactly
yeah.
1 hour into this movie.
Really? Wow. That's
The
further than
waterfall?
I thought. Yeah.
I think so. Well, when he captures him, maybe that might be the
That's
scene
like an hour. Yeah, the
they
waterfall
have
is a little
the
earlier, I
speech.
But
believe.
his,
Yeah, I
his
guess that-
introduction as a character is basically, first we hear of him talked about, right? And then when we
we hear him on
first
the
see him,
radio.
yeah,
Yeah.
we see this patrol, and then we see that he's infiltrated the ape hideout. And again, very Colonel Kurtz, right? His name is the Colonel, first of all. He's
Mhm.
bald. He's very macho military guy. And his entrance is so Apocalypse Now coded, where he's sneaking into this hideout, killing, because he's on an assassination mission to kill Caesar, right? He
Mhm.
mistakenly kills, first of all, he kills Caesar's wife and Blue Eyes, his son, thinking
Mhm.
that's Caesar. But he incites the whole movie by killing Caesar's wife and son, which is a huge thing, right?
Yeah, because Blue Eyes had gotten back and was like, "Look, Dad, me and Rocket did this whole journey. I found a perfect spot. We could all live there. We just gotta, get out of here." They were making a plan to go,
Yeah, they're
and
trying to
then,
escape because of this new military, this like fascist military society, the Alpha Omegas, who are like this split off from the regular military, it seems, and are like forming their own society based around the Colonel as this sort of figurehead.
Kind of a Negan situation.
Yes, yes, where they'll just follow him no matter what. There's this very militarized society, might makes right kind of thing. So the apes are like, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go, to California or I guess they're in California. Let's go somewhere where these humans aren't, right? They're trying to escape.
Now, Mike, where have we heard the words Alpha Omega before?
Oh, and Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the Alpha and the Omega bomb. We love it with our little mutants.
I just put that together.
Yeah, so it's obviously a reference to the beginning and the end, the atom bomb lovers from beneath Planet of the Apes. So you get to see
A
that.
doomsday device.
Yes, where
And
we
these humans
saw
are very
Brent
different than
Taylor.
the Jason Clark, Gary Oldman humans that we saw in the last movie,
Hmm.
where some time has passed, I guess. I'm not sure how much time, but it definitely seems like it's almost a post-apocalyptic society now where they live in this military base. They broke off from the main military. They're actually fighting with the other humans. Um, and yeah, it's a very Negan-like situation where they have this cult leader, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's also Apocalypse Now. Like this guy has broken off. He's doing his own. He's gone completely rogue, and like the rest of the military is trying to stop him as well as like Caesar escapes. So there's like two ticking clocks happening.
The
Yeah.
horror, the horror. He literally has a scene where there's some funky sort of 70s Doors style music playing while he's looking over a map, right? Now, this is Woody Harrelson. We've
Yes.
talked about Woody Harrelson a lot on this podcast. We haven't done like the Hunger Games, but we did mention that there was that little bit of time where it seemed like between Hunger Games, True Detective, appearing in the post-cred scene of the first Venom movie, and this that
Hmm.
you could not go 6 months without Woody Harrelson. But how do you guys
Yeah.
feel about the man?
I like Woody Harrelson. He's definitely a good actor. I think he's had an interesting journey where obviously he started on Cheers in sort of a supporting role way
Right.
back.
Yeah.
A stand-up
Um,
comedian, right? I
yeah,
think that was his sort of background before getting on the show.
yeah, and then sort of transition from more of a comedic actor to more serious awards type movies, and proven that he has the range where he can do pretty much any role. True Detective, obviously, he was sort of
Hmm.
overshadowed by McConaughey, but he's more of the straight man in that. But he's
But
still
by a
great.
literal, concept, like there was
Yeah,
no Harrelson Renaissance. I mean, it just was not playing out for him. Yeah.
yeah, and McConaughey had the
Right.
more showy role in that, where he was sort of the like basically had to play off McConaughey's insanity and be like, this guy is fucking
What
crazy.
the fuck is this?
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe not the first
but I
time he'll
always
get
like Woody
upstaged by
Harrelson.
McConaughey, but yeah, I like Woody Harrelson too.
Yeah.
He did say about this though. He's like, man, like in hindsight, I think I could have done even better. And I like him in this
Mm.
movie, so it's interesting that he was kind of critical of his performance, but he personally was like, I think I could have gone even harder at Apes, but I
I
like
think
what's here
it's
already.
yeah, it's interesting because he's not that much of a character. Like he's more of a figurehead of these
Oh,
humans, but he doesn't get fleshed out as a character that much, right?
He, well, I also wonder. I have a theory that he's lying about everything he says because when
Mm.
he is asked directly by Caesar, these men are coming to aid you. It's going to be that the battalion joins you. He's like, they're scared of me. That's what's going on. And he lies and says this thing. I almost wonder if this speech about his kid is a lie too. But yeah, Jacob, we should be rooting for him is the interesting thing because what he obviously represents is the last bastion of humanity. I mean, that he is literally terrified of the fact that humans are no longer acting humans. We should be rooting for him, except
Mm.
he's not our beloved Caesar, who's our sweet little furry baby.
Right.
Yeah, but I think the humans in this they're less sympathetic than the last movie, right? Jason Clark, obviously a good
Right.
guy. Even
Kerry
Gary
Russell
Oldman,
has already made it.
sympathetic in his own way. Like Gary Oldman was sort of a villain, but he had a sympathetic background. In this one, the humans are just straight up villains, and at no time do they contemplate peace talks with the apes. Like all Caesar's trying to do is trying to make peace, and the Colonel's having none of it. He's like, "No, we're going to wipe you out, and then we're going to wipe out these other humans." So it's just very
We'll build
indicting
a
to humans.
wall, he says at one point. He
Yeah,
says
Yeah,
how
yeah. Um,
right.
on a year after the first time.
And all his troops are just like we never get like any glimpse of like someone having second thoughts about what they're doing and stuff, and it just seems they're so slavishly like dedicated to the cause of the alpha omegas, I guess.
Total sycophants, right? They're totally
Yeah,
locked in. There's like they have speeches and slogans that they repeat every morning. It's very much locked in.
yeah,
And I guess I want to mention, we learned this through the plotting, but like the ALZ 113 has mutated to where, yeah, humans are losing their ability to speak. So he's like, humanity will be wiped out if I don't kill the apes that are essentially spreading this potentially or
yeah.
whatever. So that's his motivation. He lost his son to it. Um,
Right.
So
Yeah, so
a
it's
little
sort
bit.
of referencing the mute humans of the originals. We get our Nova character, which we'll talk about. But you're
We
right,
get the
Colin. It's like,
score. We get the score in the first scene.
yeah, I want to talk about the score too because
Mm-hmm.
it's something I noticed in this movie. Like the score is really good, and it's Michael Giacchino who
Mm-hmm.
also did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. But I think he sort of leveled up with this one, and I was really enjoying it. Like the little piano melody that turns into those soaring strings, and like it's just so beautiful. And it's funny when I was looking it up because I was like, it reminded me, certain parts of it reminded me of the music from Lost, and of course, same
Mm-hmm.
guy, Michael Giacchino. So I looked it up and I was like, that makes sense. But
Right.
yeah, I love the score in this movie too. So shout out to him.
Even on the 20th Century Fox logo, it was done in Ape instrumental, which I don't know if they've done
Mm,
that for either the either two, but I really like that touch. Yeah, the score is great here.
yeah, a lot of references to the originals and some repeating themes throughout the movie. And man, that like main
Mhm.
theme so emotional, and it just hits so well with some of the Caesar scenes and stuff.
Caesar's face is a little grayer. Again, he seems so much more human. Hearing this downtrodden music, Mike, you brought up the snow. I mean, all of this just seems so programmed to make you so emotional.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's beautifully shot. I mean, yeah, the snow. Ugh, I love it.
We like Andy Serkis kind of described it as reading the scripts and knowing what the arc would be. It's like a boy who grows up has to become a revolutionary and then become a leader, and it's tiring. And in this one, just the constant loss that happens and the difficulty because he loses his wife and his son. It's like
Yeah,
you can see how tired he is, and like he
it's very
almost breaks
emotional.
at
It's
certain
very
points. It's
When he
yeah.
has to watch, when he's in a cage, again, Holocaust, it's so horrible, separated from the workers' side of his people who have been, kidnapped and forced into horrible slave labor. And he
Hmm.
watches Rocket get the shit kicked out of him by a gorilla and then pulled in by his people. The look on his face is in fucking credible. I mean,
yeah,
it is
it's heartbreaking.
astounding.
Yeah.
And I really think, I mean, we can debate over Dawn versus this one, which one is better. But it does feel like after Dawn, they gave Matt Reeves more creative control this time. They're like, okay, we saw what you can do. We love it. We love the direction you're going in. Just do whatever the fuck you want. And he made like the most depressing, grim blockbuster that I can remember. And it's just funny to think like, oh, come on, family, come on, kids, let's go see the funny ape movie. And then you get this like Holocaust internment camp movie that's so fucking depressing. Like, I love it.
Yeah, and at the end I'll kind of we'll debate between those ones because I think they're the the front runners. It's Dawn or this, depending on. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
pathos here, and this is the first one without Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver involved. So this is like a Matt
Mm,
Reeves kind of joint with I think Mark Bombeck returns. Um, and it's like they have this goal of literally like Moses. Like we need to get Caesar to deity status by the end of this thing, where he's like the
yeah.
most revered ape that has ever lived, and they pull it off, which is just crazy.
He has to save his entire tribe and use a natural disaster to wipe out the human element, and
Yeah,
somehow magically make Xanadu appear, like
yeah.
the Holy
Yeah.
Land. You're
We
like, oh
got to the
well, they
promised land.
pull it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
He has visions of a fire. Like it's not a burning bush, but he has spirit
Right.
visions with Koba and
it
stuff. It's
does.
it's it's a lot
Yeah.
there.
He's seeing Koba in his dreams. It really is the third act of his story. And that's why his story, these three movies work so well, where you have his origin, then his basically his feud, his rivalry with Koba in the second one, and now this one where he's haunted by the memory of Koba and he's trying to be a good leader for his people. He's trying to end the war and he's trying to get him to a safe place.
Yeah,
But
so let's back it.
Caesar, ape shall never kill ape. Da-da-da.
He does hit him with it. But yeah, I was gonna walk it back to just kind of the start of the revenge journey because at first he's like,
Yeah.
all right, rest of the people, you're going to where Blue Eyes said there was the stuff. I'm going on my
Yeah.
own to do revenge. And then Maurice is like, no, dude, I'm coming. He's like, I don't know if I'm gonna come back. He's like, yeah, that's why I'm going to make sure that you
Yeah.
do come back because I see you're on a revenge mission. So Rocket, Luca, Maurice, and
His
Caesar
his
head out for the
crew.
revenge
And
mission.
here's the thing:
squad.
Yeah.
we're it's not even just that we're so into these movies, because again, obviously we've watched, this is what, number 73 in a row, number 9. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
The character models are so distinct that on site, without the naming them, I can go, oh, there's my guys. There's Maurice. There's Rocket. There's Luca.
Yeah.
There's Blue Eyes. There's, and
Mhm.
even little Cornelius. I'm like, there's little Cornelius.
Cornelia,
And it feels
of
like
course, yeah.
in this one too, they're making these other apes more of characters than even in Dawn. With like Rocket and Maurice get a lot of more screen time and a lot more development with their relationship with Caesar. It
Mhm.
feels like in this one, where for the first time I'm like, oh, Rocket is like a real character now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the most for, and it's like the most apes interacting together on a mission, because it would be a lot of
Yeah.
the guy from Terminator working with Caesar. This is very much the ape
No thanks.
journey with our little
Yeah.
Nova.
This is,
Yeah.
I think, one of the reasons I think I like this one more than Dawn is because there's no boring Jason Clarke human character in it.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
Fair.
There's no Kerry Russell, there's no Cody Smith McPhee. Like, it's almost all apes. Like, you just get glimpses of the humans as the villains.
Yeah, there's one maniac movie star basically, and
Yeah.
then it's just all your pals, all apes. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And
I loved
this
it.
scene where he's going off and by
Mhm.
himself, and then his crew comes with him. Again, so emotional. The score, so beautiful. They're all on horses. Like, it's so cinematic. Like,
No,
it's amazing.
yeah. And I love that Maurice has always been his conscience through all these movies up to this point. And
Yeah.
just that little sign language, like, I know you're going to do something crazy, so I'm going to keep an eye out, for, make sure, take care of you, buddy.
Right.
Really emotional.
And basically, Caesar's tribe is like, at this point, trapped in the forest where they live because the humans are encroaching. They're trying to get out without getting seen. So, Caesar's like, I'm gonna go confront the humans. He's sort of maddened by revenge too, because he just lost his family.
Mhm.
And so he's like, I'm gonna go distract them basically to get the rest of you to, slip out unnoticed. And that's why then his crew is like, we're coming with you.
Yeah.
It's like, of course you are, and I'm coming with you, Sam Frodo type of thing.
Yeah. Perfect. Exactly. One of my
Yeah.
favorite moments in cinema. But we see Caesar's anger. They're looking for soldiers, and then they've come across this cabin. They're like, oh, there might be soldiers here. There's always fires burning. And he sees
Yeah.
just a normal dude with like firewood. And then he's, this confrontation where he's like, I'm just going to put the firewood down. And it sort of looks like he might be going for a gun, maybe not. But Caesar
I think
just
he
fucking
is going
shoots
for a
him.
gun. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
He
But the
is.
point is,
Yeah.
Caesar is not risking it. He is out
No.
for blood at this point.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Caesar has this internal conflict throughout these movies where he's like, should I be killing? Like, he doesn't want to kill humans unless he has to, but after such a traumatic event, of course he's leaning towards like, shoot them if it looks like they're going for their gun.
He's not going to lose
Right.
anybody else.
I think there's a built-in ambiguity. It looks to me like he's going for his gun, but it's not a military person. It's just a regular guy. And to show that Caesar has just abandoned that kind of code in that
Yeah.
moment, it shows that he's really in a.
I
rough
think what we
spot.
learn later, this guy is a deserter from the colonel's group, because we have these like you said, the virus is mutating people. It's causing people to become mute and like basically lose their mind and
The
die.
colonel is killing anybody that shows signs of being infected. So people are
Yes,
having
to
to
sort of
desert if they have
quarantine it.
children. Mhm.
Yeah. So I think this guy deserted with his mute daughter to like escape the regime of the colonel. And this is of course where we meet our Nova character.
Right. And this is the actress is, I wasn't familiar with her before this, but I want to give her
Some little
credit.
teeny
no.
weeny.
I'll find it eventually.
Yeah.
Maya Miller.
This
Maya
character,
Miller.
Maya Miller, I forgot about this, and it sort of cheapens Kingdom a little bit for me in that they just did the Nova thing again, and I totally forgot that, like, oh, they just did that in the last one. So we have two mute
becomes a
female
joke.
characters.
We call them Nova. We don't know why.
We don't know
Yeah.
why. We just call all of them
It's
Nova. I
tradition.
like that.
In this one, it's because she has that Chevy Nova thing from
Badge.
a car, right? That says Chevrolet Nova, and that's where she gets her name.
And not to spoil anything for our next movie, but it's just very hard to pull off a character like the one in this one that is just nothing. Like, she gets nothing to do because she can't accomplish anything because she doesn't have a brain. She's a little
Right, she's a
mongoloid.
little kid.
So,
Right.
And she's sort of just there to show Caesar like, oh, humans can still be good sometimes.
They can have little dolls and be our pets.
I
Yeah,
think
they can give us
Maurice is-
water when we're locked up.
Yeah, because he pulls a gun on her, and then Maurice has to kind of lower the gun, like chill out, and then
Yeah.
Maurice is showing compassion to her. But I just want to mention, there's a shot in this scene when Maurice leans forward and like goes out of focus for a second, and I'm just like, that makes it feel so real and in the
Yeah.
room, and it was like, holy crap! But yeah, Maurice is demonstrating to Caesar
Maurice-
like, look, we can coexist.
Yeah, he's really
know.
the heart of Caesar's crew. Like, I guess he's the angel on Caesar's shoulder,
Yes.
being like, look,
He's
we don't need to shoot the child. I guess Rocket's not like more warlike than Caesar, it seems like, but I guess he's the devil, but
He's just
Well,
a
Koba's
pal.
he's just
the
hanging
devil.
out. Yeah, Koba
Yeah.
Koba and Maurice are like the two ends of the spectrum. But
Yes.
Maurice always goes for, pacifism if possible, and not killing people if we don't have to.
Yeah, Maurice made friends with the teenager. They were reading a comic book together. Like
That's
Maurice
right.
has always been down to kind of
Yeah.
coexist, and he knows that that's a value Caesar has, so he's trying to do that by taking care of the
Yeah.
scrubs. Throughout
Maurice
the movie.
I also think Maurice is more intellectual than a lot of the other apes, which is sort of a reference to the original roles of these different, where the orangutans were the scholars and the scientists and things like that, right?
Yep.
So they're
Government
more
officials,
philosophically
maybe?
minded.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so this is how we get so she's along for the journey because she has no other parents, and they're like, all right, well, Caesar's still going on revenge. I guess she's coming with us. You got to take care of her, Maurice. I'm not dealing with it.
She spends
Right.
the rest of this movie, Mike, getting piggyback rides from Maurice. How good would that feel as a little girl to just be hugging a giant orangutan all day?
Yeah.
And that is how orangutans carry their young. So nice touch.
Oh,
I love
Yeah.
it.
like my neighbor Totoro. Like she just looks so
Yeah.
happy all the time.
Yeah.
She was
She
not
gets
that
Bad
upset
Ape's
about her
jacket.
dad. I'll say that much.
Oh, Bad Ape's jacket. Can
No.
we talk about Bad Ape a little? He's
Yes.
So that's kind of the
you
next
say
big thing.
well, you say that Caesar is the most impressive character, Jacob. I just think this is an out of the world performance by Steve Zahn as Bad Ape. I think
Mhm.
this is so fucking one of a kind. It's incredible.
His facial expressions.
I texted
Yeah.
Bad Ape
Oh!
as a national treasure.
Oh wow!
Oh no.
Bad
Yeah.
place. Don't go to that
Oh,
place.
God. There's a writing stereotype. Bad Ape is an archetype. He's sort of the gone native loner, sort of like when we talked to Muppet Treasure Island. The original Treasure Island kind of starts this with the Ben Gunn character, the Benjamina Gunn, who's the
Mhm.
person who's like insane from loneliness, who's sort of like had to adapt by themselves. You see it a lot, like Mad Max Thunderdome has it with the little kids.
Mhm.
Waiting for Captain Walker and stuff, but
Mrs.
sometimes it can
Walker.
be antagonistic. This is just perfect. It's just like a funny little guy to just like add to your repertoire,
Yeah.
your little ensemble here.
He has sort of a innocence, a naivete, because he was raised separately from all these apes.
From a
And
zoo.
yeah. So he doesn't know about the whole war with the humans, the conflict and everything. He doesn't know about Koba versus Caesar and all this stuff. He's just coming in fresh, and he's just like, new friends. This is great.
Yeah, they're going up to the mountains. They go up a like electric tower. The apes go up to like scout. So it's just Nova on the horse. So he thinks it's humans. So he tries to steal some shit, and then they
Right.
have a chase, and then they find out that he's an ape, and he does a
I
lot
thought
of
you were
world
people,
building.
but you're apes.
Friends, come on, hang out. Yeah.
I love
But he does a lot of world building because he lets us know that the virus did spread to other ape populations. So it's like, okay, just through human transmission or whatever, sure, a lot of airplanes. He's a pilot.
Oh,
He needs to
God.
get to the airport. So that makes sense. And also he's wearing clothes, which, he doesn't have fur, but that also like begins to move the needle towards Planet of the Apes when the apes are wearing clothes. So we're like
Right.
slowly getting to that status quo of the 68 version through him too.
Why doesn't he have fur? Why does he look like Station from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Mike?
Dude, good pull. I think he's just old, maybe. Some people say Rocket might have alopecia. Maybe it's something like that too, because Rocket doesn't have a ton of fur.
Oh, yes,
But,
that's true, huh?
I like how distinct all the apes look, though, and like he
Mhm.
definitely looks distinct from every other character, which is
Well, he
interesting.
kind of looks like Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Well, Caesar looks like Andy Serkis. Like, yeah, to be fair.
Again, the facial expressions that he's making, are incredible.
And the full performance capture too, because when he like
Yeah.
runs off and falls down and it's like, I'm okay. Like he actually fell down. That wasn't on purpose. And they were like,
Oh,
that's
that
actually
was
really good.
great.
So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love
it's
that.
more than just the faces. You know, it's great physical performances too.
Can we talk about before they meet Bad Apes? So they adopt this orphan child Nova. They're going to the human encampment because they are trying to find out the location of the colonel, right? So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
Caesar's crew rolling through with horses and stuff. They sneak in and they find Winter, the ape that betrayed them, working like in the kitchens.
Yeah.
And there's this incredible scene where basically Caesar chokes him out to keep him quiet from alerting the humans, and just like stone cold kills him because he's like, if Winter makes noise, like we'll be seen. Man, that scene was crazy
There's
too.
not
Yeah.
to spoil a moment later, but a gorilla does get shot in the head at point blank range.
Yeah.
Here's my child brain. For some reason, I think gorillas are invincible. So the fact that like two chimpanzees could basically cover a gorilla's mouth and kill
Yeah.
it, or that one would get shot in the head. Don't you think in real life one would survive getting shot in the head for some reason?
I don't know if you
they're
could
invincible.
survive
I
that.
don't know. You don't think
Yeah.
so?
I don't know if I'll
They
go
seem
on
Um,
so
record.
strong.
They
They're
do
They
so
are
seem very
big.
strong, but a
I would
bullet to the
imagine
head
like
is pretty strong.
I imagine like a
Yeah.
9mm to their body would just piss them off maybe, but a
Yeah.
Yeah.
headshot, not
Point
sure.
blank to the head is pretty hard to
Don't you
stop.
feel like it would still be so meaty that the bullet would stop and the ape would just, or the gorilla would just be kind of like loopy or whatever?
I don't know how
Maybe.
thick the skull is. Who knows? We need to get
Yeah.
the
I don't think they have
Mythbusters
like
No.
on it.
armor on their heads.
No, they are. They're bulletproof, Jacob.
They should
Admit
have been
it.
wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how many of the gorilla characters like die in this one too, because we also have the death of Luca, which we'll get to, our
I
favorite
love
gorilla boy,
Luca.
Luca,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. But yeah, that scene's
Um,
really crazy. Like it's affecting because now we've had a human killed by Caesar and now an additional ape killed by Caesar. Even maybe unintentional. He was choking him out, but you know,
yeah.
that led to the death of Winter, right?
They have this interrogation scene where they're questioning about him, and obviously this ape led to directly to Caesar's wife and son being killed. So Caesar
Oh,
has
that great
feelings
line.
about that. Yeah.
My
And again, it
wife.
reminds me so much of like a World War II movie where they're like they have to kill a prisoner to like keep him quiet or something like.
You can
And
rat
you
him
know,
out.
Caesar's band running around like they're the Dirty Dozen or something. Like it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. I mean, again, to put this pathos in an ape movie as well, but that is how they learn that they need to go north and end up in the snow and meet Bad Ape, who has rations from the base where the
Yes.
colonel is, and that's
Right.
kind of the breadcrumbs that get us to, tracking the colonel down.
Jacob,
Yeah.
if there's a moment in the Dirty Dozen where they threw their shit at one of the Nazi generals, I'd be so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Brown is in that movie, right?
Hooray,
right.
go Browns.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I wanted to mention Bad Ape. He doesn't want to lead them to the colonel's
Bad
place.
place. No, bad place. No.
The human
We can't
zoo. He
go
talks
there.
about humans were trying to get in for medical care and were gunned down, by the colonel trying to get in. But he has a conversation with Caesar when Caesar's like, "I have a son," and he's like, "I had a kid. Do you think you'll find your son there?" And that's what finally convinces him to take them. It's like, all right, I get it as a father because I don't know who you are, Caesar. I don't know if you're a great leader, but as a person who had a child, I get you and I'll take you. Like that's a very affecting scene as well.
That is, you're right. And I mean, the inciting incident of killing Cornelia and Blue Eyes, and Blue Eyes was such a big character in Dawn too. Like it's really bold that they decided to do that. And of course, Caesar has a new son, Cornelius, little Cornelius. But man, Blue Eyes, come on, man. They had such a great father-son dynamic in the last movie.
It's also
Yeah,
a character.
I had thought, and he has his girlfriend Lake, you assume, and it's like, oh, Blue Eyes, all right.
Like,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, Lake is in this now.
But they're not afraid to kill some major ape characters in this one. I guess it is the wrap up, is the third of the trilogy, and we're moving on to a different century in the next movie, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But they don't hold back on killing characters.
No, they really don't. And I guess
So we get, yeah,
we find out like that his whole his whole troop of apes has been captured by the Colonel. Like we find some crucified apes,
Yes.
Forbidden Zone style. He's able to ask him, "Hey, what happened?" The Colonel captured all of us because he knew where we lived because of winter, right? Presumably.
Yeah,
Um,
they were trying to escape. The plan didn't work out. They were all captured. So Caesar realizes this.
it's not
And yeah,
just
they're
revenge
strung
now; it's a
up.
rescue mission too, right?
Yeah, references to the original with the
Forbidden
things
Zone.
that they're tied to. Yeah. And so they finally find this camp where the colonel's people are. They also learn about, oh, there's this other military force that's coming, we think, to join them at this point. So he's like, we need to get there before they get stronger. And Caesar's on his John Wick bullshit right now, trying to get revenge and just wants to kill the colonel, right? And Maurice is like, look, we have more important things. Like, we need to save our people. Don't worry about the colonel. Like, revenge, you know, if you're going for revenge, you better dig two graves, right?
That's right. An eye for an
Um,
eye. Yeah.
You
yeah,
came
Makes the
here
whole
for
world
them.
mute.
I came here for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're
so then
scouting,
Caesar
and
is,
we get
yeah,
captured. Yeah, Caesar
yeah.
gets captured.
Caesar gets captured.
And Luca gets,
Um,
unfortunately, dooskied after giving some flowers
This
to Nova.
is.
yes,
I don't love the monologue that Woody Harrelson does, but I love the moment where he comes out and says Leon Custer, or I'm sorry, Leon Grant, Custer, and Little Bighorn, and he talks about all these great generals throughout the years and their rivals essentially, and he's not saying it directly to Caesar, setting up like, and that's what you are to me. He literally just calls out, I guess you don't read much, again, showing sort of what will be his downfall, his sense of superiority, that he's going to
Yeah.
continuously underestimate not only the smartest ape to ever exist, the best being, like,
yeah,
like just
Mm-hmm.
like the bastion of like intelligence, purity, leadership,
right.
democracy. Like, he's going up against, to talk in anime terms again, the main character, and little does he
Yeah.
know that will be his downfall.
And the Colonel, I think he is a good villain. He's not super well defined again, I think, but he's almost better as this sort of enigma. Like, why is he like this? We don't really get an explanation. He has some stuff about, like, yeah, he had a son or whatever that died. But his whole story is about how he had to kill his son because he got mutated by the virus, and he realized, like, after he did that, like, this is the way. Like, we just have to be as ruthless as possible.
To do the
Merciless.
same backstory as Gary Oldman, to just have the sad thing be that you lost your kid, is totally different with the context of, and I had to kill that kid myself. I didn't really, but I did to
And it was
prove
freeing to me as a
way. Yes,
person.
exactly.
It's an act of
sets the
mercy.
soul apart.
Yeah.
It's how
Yeah.
he frames it.
But even when
Yeah.
in this first scene with Caesar, he is so impressed by Caesar's intelligence and stuff, where Caesar's like talking to him. He's like, damn, you are an impressive ape. But he just still doesn't care. He's still like, I'm going to wipe out all
Well,
the apes because that's
Caesar.
what we need to do.
Yeah, Caesar was able to put two and two together that, oh, that army's not joining you. They're also coming to kill you. And that's what kind of impresses
Yeah.
him. He's able to deduce that.
And this is what's so interesting with the humans is that, like, even in this post-apocalyptic society where like 90% of humans were wiped out by this virus, we've got talking apes out there that we're at war with. Humans are still fighting each other after all this. Even though there's like 10% of population left, we're still fighting each other. And that's sort of an indictment of the human race.
Very true.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is kind of interesting too because he's coming almost like from a very pragmatic stance where it's like the apes got to go and anybody with this disease has got to go because we didn't stop ALZ 113. He's like very much like evidence in his mind. He's like, we couldn't stop the simian
Yeah.
flu. We're not stopping this mute shit. Like enough is enough. Like he thinks to him he's very justified. It makes him kind of
Right.
more interesting that way.
And again, Colin, you're right. He's very Negan coded, where Negan in the zombie apocalypse is like, you need a strong, charismatic leader who's not afraid to make the hard choices, to lead, be a leader of men, I guess, and be ruthless in doing what you have to do, because in this society, that's the only way we're going to survive, basically.
I don't
And
like
Rick,
that
to
in
some
modern
degree, in The
times.
Walking Dead, yeah, Rick and in The Walking Dead, Rick and Negan are kind of two sides of the
Mhm.
same coin in many ways too. So it's an interesting comparison.
Yeah, yeah. And we're gonna build a wall, and the apes are gonna pay for it.
Yeah. And again, I think very like the apocalypse now of it all, like the first meeting or the first
Yeah.
scene with the Colonel when he's infiltrating the ape hideout, He's got his face painted,
Yeah.
commando style, very
Green
Colonel
beret.
Kurtz.
He's what do they call that with the rope? Oh my
Um,
god.
oh yeah, like rappelling or whatever.
Yeah, he
He's doing like a
repels down
Black
the
Ops
waterfall.
mission.
Yeah,
The
this
Yeah,
thing
is
about the thing about Woody is, and I've said this before on our Venom episode, is he's a hair actor. He's an actor who likes to have to change his hair up for his roles. Now,
Yeah.
the interesting thing about that, of course, for Woody in particular, is that he is bald. He's a
Yeah.
bald man who is a hair actor. You do not see that combination a lot. He loves to wear wigs. He loves to
In the
transform. He
Hunger
loves to be
Games,
crazy.
he's got some,
Now,
like a mullet.
oh, again, to talk about Cletus Cassidy, the craziest red hair you've ever seen in your life,
That's right.
as Carnage. Now, in this film, he pulls off this incredible trick where he's constantly shaving his head. He has shaving cream on the part of his head that visually you can see no hair grows on it. He's scraping his scalp. He
keep it super
makes
short.
you think that being bald is his choice. It is some of the most astounding acting I've ever seen put to screen to pull that
He's
off.
asserting dominance over
Yes!
his own hair.
He is the alpha
Yeah.
and the omega, Jacob.
Yeah,
it's an act of mercy, he says.
right. And again, like I
Against
say,
his own
he
scalp.
alternates between Colonel Kurtz, Marlon Brando's character, and Robert Duvall's character in Apocalypse
Mhm.
Now, where he comes out in that scene where he's shaving his head with the fucking aviators and
Yes.
giving this speech like, I love the smell of napalm in the morning, kind of thing. So
Napalm?
He's also kind of Dennis Hopper, Jacob, in
Yeah.
that he's like a sycophant to himself or humanity, I guess.
right.
It's almost like
Yeah.
he believes himself to be on this right. He calls it a holy war. Like he's in a
Calls
righteous
it a holy
holy
war,
war.
Yeah.
Whereas Caesar does become somewhat deified by the end of this. He sees himself as this kind of God
and he has
cult leader
absolute
guy.
belief in what he's doing is the right thing to do. So he's a
It's so
dangerous
crazy.
lead.
Yeah.
He's a dangerous, charismatic figurehead. Certainly no one like that in real life right now that we should be
Yes.
worried about.
And important to note, this is a guy who owns a legal weed dispensary in California called The Woods. He's a notorious pot smoker, Woody Harrelson. He's one of the most weird, chillaxed, now anti-vaxxer maniacs. But it is
He's a
an
classic.
interesting role.
He's a classic Gen X, crunchy hippie kind of guy.
Yes.
His off-screen persona very different than a lot of his roles, where he's taken on a lot of like in True Detective, he's sort of a conservative, straight man kind of guy. But his off-screen persona could not be more different. Where he's a huge pothead, he's a huge hippie, and of course
He lives
he's
in
anti-vax.
Hawaii. He tells stories about how he has a house that has no doors, and he sleeps in a hammock, and animals constantly come in and out of his place because he has no doors.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, he takes on a lot of different roles, and I definitely like him in this role.
I think he's been a vegetarian since the 80s. I mean, he's owned an oxygen bar in California as well. He's always been onto like weird crunchy trends, like you said, Jacob. He's just a crunchy dude. Yeah.
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 Granola. He probably loves granola.
I guarantee it.
He makes his own.
That's why
though. Trail mix.
Being on the
He's got a great
set of
trail
True
mix recipe.
Detective with Woody and Matthew
Yes.
McConaughey must have been insane, like behind the scenes. Two insane hippie guys. Yeah.
I want to go back to what Mike said about the getting topped by McConaughey. So I want to ask you directly, Mike. Who gives the better bald maniac hunting an animal performance in a movie? Is it this, or is it Reign of Fire, where Matthew McConaughey is hunting dragons?
I'm so glad you're asking this question. Reign of Fire doesn't get enough flowers. I maybe need to rewatch it, but I do like when they retell Star Wars, which Woody Harrelson would go do that eventually too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It might be Matthew McConaughey.
He's more intense. I'll give him
Yeah,
that. It
he's
feels
much
a
more
little
intense.
phonier when Woody does it, but it's also good. He's very good in this movie.
Like he says he thought he could
Do you
get a
remember-
little more out of it if he had another shot.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of opaque as a character, but I think that's almost on purpose, where they're not gonna like totally spell out what he's doing and make him more enigmatic as a character. So I think that's sort of a choice of the movie. But do you guys remember when he's in that movie Rampart, and there's that whole he did a Reddit Q&A. There was sort of a PR disaster for him where people were asking him questions. He's like, I want to stick to Rampart. If you have any questions about Rampart,
I'm actually here to answer
Um,
questions about Rampart.
which Rampart is actually a
No.
really good movie. It's about the
It is.
corruption of the LA PD, basically.
That sucks. And here's the other thing: movies that I don't even like the genre, like the saddest war dramas ever. The Messenger with him and Ben Foster, that film where they're just people who go door to door telling you your fucking
Yes.
kid died in war, is so damn good. He's just a very interesting performer.
Yeah.
Zombie.
But he has that ability to play these other kind of characters, like this sort of conservative white man character is interesting. But
You
yeah,
guys know the story about his dad?
he was like
No.
a hitman or something.
He was an
right?
assassin. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
something
crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Nepo babies, am I right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think he
but I like him
killed
as
a
an
politician. I think
Oh,
I
man.
believe he's in jail
right
forever.
now.
Yeah.
Fascinating. But yeah, he had this
Wild.
whole Reddit Q&A where he, anytime anyone would ask him any other question, he only wanted to talk about Rampart. And it was clear like his PR people were like controlling what he was saying. It was so weird and out of character for someone like Woody Harrelson that it was really became sort of an internet joke for a long time.
I see.
But yeah, he's a good actor.
He's a good actor. It's great back and forth with Caesar here. You know, it's like so emotional. Like, this isn't personal. This is nature. You're going to take over if I don't do this. Right.
Like when he's like, "Oh, did I kill someone that like was close to you by accident?" He's like, "Yeah, only my wife and my son." And he's just like, "Oh, sorry, wasn't trying to. I was actually trying to kill you, but whatever."
Yeah.
Like, damn, man, that's cold.
Yeah. But so he starts putting Caesar to work. You know, he's now part of the building the wall, and Caesar sees the kind of mistreatment of one of the apes that causes an accident. And he's, yells out, leave him. And then this now begins to put pressure on his relationship between the colonel and like perceived revolution, maybe, right?
And this is sort of what the humans are doing wrong. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, do you guys know just like historically, like when like Napoleon was like arrested and like deposed and was no longer the leader of France and he was put in exile, but still like commanded so much respect. Like you're getting like a lot of fucking that too, where it's like these apes don't know who to listen to. They're in prison with their god, basically, who's still shouting out stuff. And even Red Donkey is kind of like, oh shit, do I have to kind of like listen to this guy or do I have to listen to the bald maniac?
Right.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is this is what the humans are doing wrong by making Caesar into a martyr the way they're treating him, because they don't realize what a great charismatic leader he can be. So they're almost creating their own worst enemy with him. But yeah, it's really on the nose. They're putting these apes to work in a labor camp to build a wall, to build better defenses, to protect from the incoming military unit that's coming to wipe these humans out. And at first they're like, we just wanted to kill all the apes, but then the colonel was like, let's put them to work before they die, which is just like, man.
Yeah.
Apes
insane.
need food and water. Ape will get food and water when my wall is built.
That's true. Yeah. That's the whole thing too. But they're also making the donkeys like inflict the violence against their fellow apes. They're a step away from it, So it's
so there's
a thing.
Yeah, an ape that drops a rock causes like an accident on the work site. They have Red the gorilla whip this ape in front of all the other apes, and that's when Caesar stands up and is like, leave him.
And then he basically takes that ape's place and gets whipped in his stead. Right. And it's like
again, a very Jesus-like, a very just like becoming a leader and being like, okay, I need to show these apes by example. Like, we're not going to take this shit,
Kunta Kinte and Roots, Starship Trooper. There's the scene where the character gets whipped like crazy. It's very wild.
We were talking about gorillas, man. They are freaking strong. Like, for Caesar to not react and just have solidarity, it's like that's got to hurt so fucking bad,
Yeah.
The apes react to it though. They start stopping working and they start hooting and like in solidarity. And then Woody Harrelson's going to kill Caesar until Blake is like, no, fuck it, we're sorry.
Right. Yeah. He shoots the ape in the head like that was being whipped to make an
What'd
example.
You say? Bang.
And Caesar, he's
Yeah.
like, "All right, you better do what I say, or else I'm going to shoot you next, Caesar." And
What
Caesar's
kind of
still not going to do
American?
it.
Leans forward,
Yeah.
yeah.
Caesar's
into the
ready to
gun.
die, and the other apes start working. It's like, damn, they really are believing in Caesar as a leader.
He's
Um,
fearless. He's he's just such a good leader.
He's
So
willing to give his
defiant.
life for the rest of his people, which is like says everything about him as a leader.
But he is able in that act of defiance, able to affect change because the next day food is delivered for the apes, and they see that and they look over to him and they're like, "Yo, dog, you did it, Caesar. You got
Yeah,
us food. We respect you. We love you. You know." Now
but
that
they
he's
put him in
separated.
a different enclosure.
Hmm.
They whip him, they torture him, they're doing all this shit to him. They're
They
withholding
hang him
food
up
and
at
water.
night. Yeah, they're making
Yeah,
an example out of him.
They're trying to freeze him. They say if he survives in the morning, put him back to work.
yeah,
And meanwhile, while this is going on, we get what Jacob said. We get some character development, or at least some side plot adventures with the other apes. You get Rocket and Maurice and Nova and Bad Ape
Mhm.
saying, "What would Caesar do?" Like out loud, of like, "We
right.
need to act here. What do we do?"
Yep, and that's like the prison escape kind of plot beginning with them. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have Nova sneaking into the camp at night, giving Caesar water, giving the apes, and then the apes kind of call her over to their side, give her the food for Caesar because Caesar's so hungry. And it's this
Where'd
really
this
nice
doll come
moment.
from?
Yeah, she drops
Yeah,
her doll.
which that doll will become important, right?
Coming important
Um,
later. Yep.
but the humans come out, she's got to hide, and then Rocket sort of sacrifices himself and allows himself to be taken prisoner to save Nova from being seen.
Right. And that's the scene that kind of Colin was talking about earlier when he has to placate himself and take some licks from Red to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to be out here. Put me back in the cage. Stupid
Yeah,
me."
which I really
That's
like that
part of the
they're
plot.
like Rocket does have more to do in this one because I feel like he was sort of just the side character in the other two movies where he's like, oh, he's Caesar's buddy, but he doesn't have that much to do by himself. This one, they're really making him like Caesar's second in command, and he's the one that starts like throwing the shit to distract the guards and stuff like that. So he's kind of becoming a leader in himself too. So I really
You
like
get
that.
you see that Matt Reeves is fulfilling everyone's dream where he's like, we've gone this many movies without a monkey throwing shit. What they're known for. We
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
to have a scene in it. And it's so good and so
incredible.
clever.
Yeah,
It's sort of like he's become the reverse Koba because he is the right hand, but it's the right hand that Caesar can trust. And whereas Koba's doing the dumb monkey act before machine gunning, he's like, "I'm gonna throw some shit." It's like
yeah.
his own version of that.
His right
And
hand is
Rocket's
the right hand. I mean, that's,
right.
Yeah.
He's so interesting as a character because we've come all the way from Y Cookie Rocket, at first sort of being a rival to Caesar in that
Rocket
Brian
strong.
Cox
Be nice. We
enclosure.
love
Hmm.
Rocket.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
So
right.
he was
okay.
like Koba before Koba, but Caesar was able to win him over as his friend. So it's almost like Rocket could have gone the Koba direction and become a bad
Hmm.
ape, so to speak. But instead he chooses to follow Caesar and becomes a strong leader in his own right.
Yeah, and you love to see it. And also, we have to remember that Rocket has also lost a child due to the conflict caused by
That's right.
Koba.
Fucking Koba
The whole
threw
plot of
him
the
off
last
that
movie.
ledge.
Koba,
Yeah.
yeah, literally murdered his son.
So yeah, they've
Um,
both lost their firstborn sons. Like it's so sad.
yeah, and there's a lot of baby apes. The children are separated, but to see even in the opening, like they're procreating. They are creating a whole
Yeah.
society of apes. They are doing their work.
You gotta get
Yeah.
to
But that is the
get to mating.
downfall, is that they've expanded
Hmm.
too much. It's too dangerous for them to move as a tribe now because
Yeah.
they've just become so expansive.
Exactly. It's catch 22. But I love how we kind of get Rocket stepping up, and now they're able to kind of sign language to the people on the outside the humans are unaware of, and they can kind of start to create a little plan here. And I like counting the steps. We find the sewer system, and the stuff with Bad Ape and Maurice is really good too.
Yeah. So yeah, they're planning the ape escape, so to speak, and they have a pretty good plan for how to break out that works pretty well, right?
Yeah, they like count
And
the
they
number of
realize,
steps to get to each pen. They see the
yeah, they're
tunnels run
tunneling
underneath.
underneath. They realize they can't get to the children, the cage where the children are being held because it's going to flood the tunnels underneath. So they have to figure out another way to get the children out. They get this guard to come in by throwing shit at him, of course.
Which, what an idiot. You closed the door behind
Yeah.
you too, my guy.
You, even with a gun, would you ever feel that in charge of like a
I think-
500 apes?
Yeah.
No.
I think it almost is speaking to like the hubris of these humans to think, oh, I have a gun. Like I can just shoot any of the apes if they try to attack me.
Try
Not realizing-
something. I'll kill one of you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, all right.
I mean,
No
I get
way.
that these humans might not be the smartest people in the world. This military fascist society that's following this cult leader.
Well, that's literally becoming dumber.
Yeah.
That's true. There are some parts with this stretch that I nitpick a little bit. Like Nova just walks in there. It's like, well, you got no guards at night. You know, like it's
Right.
pretty well lit. Like, so the fact that she can go and get the food, I like it from like an emotional point. But I'm like, how is she getting away with this? Why is there one guard?
Right.
But you know.
Yeah, and for such a militarized society to be so bad at like military stuff.
But I
Yeah,
stand
I
by
get it.
Colonel Kurtz is lying about everything. I don't even think he was in the military. I think he found some of this stuff and just got people to follow him.
That's a good angle.
Mm.
I think again, that's very like Negan, where Negan, I think, made up his own like backstory to
He's
make
like
him
a
sound
gym
more
teacher.
impressive.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a biker. Yeah.
Right. But
Mm.
basically, when the world ends, you can become whoever you want to be, and no one will
Yeah.
know who you used to be, essentially. So a
Well,
lot
he
of
says,
zombie.
Hey, you keep saying that to us, Jacob.
right.
Wait till
Yeah,
they
he
become a
said-
fucking military cult leader.
Right. No, he says his son was one of his troops and he had to kill his son, but then the picture he has of his son is like 10 years old, so that could even bring into question, like, yeah, is any of this true? You know?
Yeah.
Interesting way to look at it. But we're getting an ape escape going. We're going in there, we're throwing poop at him, we're gonna pull him in the hole, kill his ass, and we got the keys now. Now we got the keys for the baby cage and Caesar's cage, and we're on the move.
And while this is all going on, obviously the impending other army is coming to. There's basically a war, a battle coming very soon between these two groups of humans. The apes know that. They're like, we need to get the fuck out of here before the fighting starts. It's about to get crazy in here.
Battle between the humans for the war for the planet of the apes.
Yes.
Yes.
And essentially, I guess, like, is Woody Harrelson just went rogue and created his own like society and basically did a Colonel Kurtz where he's like, I'm creating my own cult within the military, and so the real military is like, oh, we're gonna like kill you and all your men, basically.
That's what he says. I guess like he had a base, like he had a forward operating base with a certain number of troops, and he just went crazy and he said, all right, well, I told them if they want to take me out of command, they have to come do it themselves. And
Yeah.
What if instead of Martin? Well, yeah. What if instead of Martin Sheen, you hear they just cut to like the real military, and they're like, "Of course we hired a special secret agent to kill the colonel. His name is Bad Ape."
Yo,
dude. It's this whole adventure he's going on.
Well, we're getting to the scene where, as all the apes are escaping, Caesar sneaks into like his living quarters, the colonel. And this scene really did remind me of the last scene of Apocalypse Now, where it is Martin Sheen sort of infiltrating to kill Colonel Kurtz while they're doing this water buffalo sacrifice thing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like there's this whole war going on, but Caesar's so focused on like sneaking in to try to kill the colonel and fulfill his revenge.
Yeah, he's been seeing visions of Koba, goading him with ape shouldn't kill ape, or they're all going to die here. Just sleep. Give up, man. Just give up and die, Caesar. So when the ape escape is happening, he tells Rocket, he's like, I'm going to get revenge. And he kind of says, you get him out of here. I'm still not, my work's not done.
Yeah, he needs to have revenge. And this is like, I love this scene with the last scene with him and the colonel. So he breaks into the colonel's apartment. There's a war like the helicopters have shown up. There's fighting going on. Meanwhile, all the apes are escaping.
Trying not to get blown up amidst the fighting between the humans. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The colonel's like in his apartment. That little boy who captures the apes in Ape Escape.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
The colonel is like barricaded in his apartment. The soldiers are like trying to get in. They don't know what the fuck's going on. Their leader's not out here. Caesar sneaks in, and this is the ultimate irony of this character, the colonel, where you think it's going to be this meeting of these two, and there's this great altercation. But he shows up and he sees the colonel has been infected because he took that doll that belonged to Nova earlier from Caesar's cage, He's now been infected by the advanced virus. He's mute. He's going insane. He's got blood like coming out of his nose. And so Caesar doesn't ultimately get the revenge that he wanted because this guy's basically already dead. And he can't even do it himself. He lets the colonel kill himself, right?
Well, I have a question about this too. I'll throw to you guys, but I
Yeah.
like that earlier in the movie when we see that the colonel's been killing his own soldiers, the one that's still alive, he kind of looks like the colonel. Like he has a little bit of facial hair. He's somewhat balding, so it's like he can definitely see like, oh, I know what's going on here. But it's almost, is he on the moral high ground by not pulling the trigger, or is he thinking this is honestly better than I could have ever imagined? Like now this guy's got the virus. I'm kind of loving it. Like Colin, where do you think
he's
Caesar
almost
lands on this? Or
yeah. I just think he's almost disappointed because it's like you spent the whole movie planning or like thinking about this revenge and like being revenge is an all-consuming idea when it's so strongly embedded in you, and to have the denouement of this movie be like, oh, I didn't get the revenge I wanted because he's essentially already dead. And
yeah, I agree with you, Jacob. I think to Mike's point, there is a piece of me that sees him where he's like, this is so pathetic, and yet, like the first Mad Max film, I'm throwing out the fucking, the saw, the hacksaw, and being like, let's see, like, there you go, kid, good luck.
Because he does watch.
Blow your fucking brains out, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Mad Max because this kind of reminded me of Furiosa too, the idea of revenge being so strongly in that. And when Furiosa eventually does meet up with Dementis by the end and is able to get revenge on him, that whole debate of like, do I just shoot him right here? Do I like do different things with him? Like,
should I turn the colonel into a peach tree?
Yeah. Dementis even says it's never going to be as good as you want it to be.
Yeah. Do you have it in you to make it epic?
Right.
But yeah, it's sort of I feel like it's the perfect ending for this character where they don't go out in this like bloody one-on-one fight or something that you would expect. It's this pathetic end where he instead gets the virus that he was trying to prevent his troops from getting, and it eventually kills him, and he has to just kill himself.
It's wonderful, like anticlimax. I like that. And I think the charitable and I think the intended reading is that Caesar is showing mercy and having pity and like not doing it himself, but yeah, it's an interesting, because last time we had a big punch up with Koba, so it's better to do an anticlimax here, right?
Exactly.
And that would have made him Koba if he pulls the trigger, then he takes revenge, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, he has this battle inside himself the whole time between the darkness and the light of like, am I becoming Koba? Like if I kill the colonel, is that fully like transitioning me into a Koba figure where I can't come back from this darkness?
Right.
I think it also says a lot that this character dies and then there's 20 more minutes.
Because we're still dealing with the battle. Because the colonel's dead now. Caesar has to get out. He grabs some.
Still not about him. It's about fighting humanity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The apes are escaping. This I thought was kind of funny too, the way the apes escaped and all the humans are running past. Like the battle started, these helicopters have shown up. So they're all so focused on this, they don't notice that all the apes in the cage are gone, except one guy notices Preacher, right? The guy with the crossbow.
A crossbow guy.
Yeah. He's the only one that seems to have noticed, like, oh shit, all the apes are gone.
Who gives a
But then we do, when the people on the wall who are fighting the other humans in helicopters, when they notice the apes in the open, they're also like, okay, I guess we shoot them too. So the apes
they start shooting them. It's
peril.
Yeah, it's like, what is your priority? Like the humans that are attacking you with helicopters or the apes? Like maybe
that are running
keep
away.
Shooting the humans. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're so obsessed with killing apes that they start shooting at the apes.
Maybe their brains are getting worse. You have a point.
Yeah. I think they're getting dumber. They're getting more aggressive.
Across the board, yeah.
And we see Red the donkey, who this whole time has been like one of the most despicable characters, doing shit to his own kind, torturing and killing apes. And he's loading this machine gun that's just mowing down these apes. And he's sort of having a change of heart as he sees this. And then he sees Caesar basically on a suicide mission running towards this gas tank with a bunch of grenades on a belt, right? He's going to blow up the tanker, assuming killing himself,
Presumably
but
the
sacrificing
base,
himself to blow up the base. And he's like, if this is what I have to do, I will do it. And Red sees that, and he has this, emotional moment where he's like, wait, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm fighting for the humans. And I think he finally has this moral battle within himself.
We got this rug pull. The heroic music sweeps. Caesar gets the grenade out, and then he gets hit by an arrow from Preacher, and it's like, oh no. And that's kind of
it stops
Red
him
What
makes
short.
what does he do to the human being threatening Caesar that he like blows him to smithereens? It's not the machine gun.
the guy's been yelling for a grenade launcher for the past couple minutes.
Right.
That's
Donkey, give me the
that's
grenade
right.
launcher.
That's
yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. So he fires a grenade at this
He
guy.
he throws a
crazy.
TNT barrel, I believe, is the cannon.
Yes,
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
As a classic Donkey Kong.
He doesn't do
Yeah.
the little jump, and that'll get you. You got to jump over those barrels.
That's a
But
bomb
he's been
barrel,
loading
yeah.
this machine gun and like reloading this machine gun. He's having second thoughts, like seeing all these apes die. And he's like, wait, I'm helping these humans who aren't even nice to me. They're like total dicks to me all the time.
Yeah.
They call me donkey. They call me like pejorative names.
Mhm.
So he gets the rocket launcher. Yeah, he saves Caesar by blowing up Preacher.
Mhm.
And the human with him immediately is like, fuck you, and shoots him in the head, right? Which is
Yep.
like, in the end, he did sacrifice himself to save Caesar and save the apes. So I
A
guess
little
he had
bit
a
of
sort of Darth
redemption.
Vader moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. With the grenade launcher. And maybe he's seeing too, like, oh damn, these other humans have helicopters and shit. We're probably not winning. Like, this is
Yeah.
not going good.
He's just questioning all of his life choices at that point.
And he's had some interactions with Caesar. Caesar has to pour the buck on him. Caesar will talk shit, every once in a while, when he gets a
Yeah.
chance. So he's been
He is
kind
the
of
most
testing him.
villainous ape in this movie. He sort of takes over the Cobra role, which I don't remember if this guy actually appeared in the last movie as like Cobra's left-hand
so.
man or something, or maybe it was just an unnamed gorilla in the background.
Of course. Red Donkey. Like,
Yeah.
Koba, you called them donkeys?
Yeah.
I
But
think
yeah,
he's
what
original for
a
this.
journey.
But yeah, and then
Yeah.
Caesar's able to throw the grenade and blow up the facility. It's a big
Yeah,
big
again, just
filmed-
the way that that human so casually just shoots Red after
Yeah.
that. It's like, damn, man.
It's almost
That's
in the
cold.
background too. Like, it's almost out of focus.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens so matter of fact. Like, yep, and that's how much you matter.
And Red
to
had
him.
to know like he was going to be killed like immediately after doing that.
He's
So
like me. He's like, I'm a gorilla. I'm strong. There's no way
yeah.
he'll kill me. Oh, my
Right.
brain.
I'm invincible. But yeah, he does the
But
right
yeah,
thing
it
to
blows
save
up the
Caesar.
base. Yeah. All the
Causes an
apes are
avalanche.
escaping.
Yeah, which that causes an avalanche. We have the army from the north
Causes an
finally
avalanche.
shows up.
We had this moment where the other army starts cheering because the base exploded, and then they see the apes and they're like, damn, wait, should we be shooting these apes now?
Yeah.
It's like, just don't shoot the apes, man. You don't have to shoot the apes.
And
What does
they're
it
not-
matter?
I know that we don't see their faces in this. I don't know why, but I like my headcanon is that they're all masked up because they are scared of the virus. Like, they're all very much
Yeah,
like
they're
Yeah.
kind of stormtroopers. That's interesting, Mike, because they
Yeah.
are in white and wearing face.
Yeah.
goggles and stuff.
Right.
But I like the chain reaction that the explosion and potentially the loud cheering echoing in the valley creates
An avalanche.
because, like, yeah, we need to
Yeah.
get rid of these humans too to create more Planet of the
Right.
Apes like conditions going forward.
I wish there was one moment where the colonel was like giving his speech about like how the world's changed and how much he hates it. And he's like, I should have taken my best friend Taylor's advice and gone up in that rocket ship with him.
Yep, Brenton Taylor
Yeah.
told me I could have made it in the Air Force. NASA.
That would have been funny.
He could have been making a speech and lost his voice during it, but maybe it would have ruined the surprise.
I just like the reveal of when you first see him, he's like laying on his bed reaching for like
drunk.
a bottle.
Yeah.
of
He's so
whiskey
pathetic,
and Coke.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you see the doll, you see like the blood on the doll and the blood on his face, and you're like, oh
And
shit.
and Jacob, it is incredibly well shot and edited and paced because
Yeah.
they do the fake out tension that Caesar's gonna reach for the handgun and he's gonna grab it too and wake up and there's gonna be, like we said, a face off. And to not have that is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I was thinking like what's going on? Like, why is he not out there with his men? He must be like drunk or something. But yeah, it was the virus.
No, and as a
Oh,
as a mirror for when Caesar had the gun to his head, he was
yep.
willing to die for a cause. Meanwhile, the colonel just wants to die out of self-pity, right? It's like
Yeah.
complete inversion of motivations there.
All
So,
self-serving.
yep. But I love when the apes, they climb the trees, they get to use their intrinsic traits and abilities as apes. It's like the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
man. I love being a turtle. Let's climb these trees and survive
So the avalanche comes, kills pretty
I
much all the
love being a
humans.
virus-infected ape. Yeah.
That was bananas.
Okay, what an interesting freeze frame for Caesar and Maurice at the end as they high five.
Yeah,
Why is there a
and that's how
skateboard
it
here?
ends, right? So all the humans are wiped out. The apes escape, and they reach their promised land.
Paradise.
And Moses has led them to paradise.
But
Uh,
the water has literally like parted into a
Yeah.
beautiful lake. I mean, it is like
Yeah.
it's very heavy-handed, but very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
we
it's like,
get
like Colin said,
Caesar.
a natural disaster covers the retreat of the free peoples.
Right.
Yes.
Caesar was hit by that arrow, of course. He has pretty serious
right away.
wounds.
I'm pretty hurt, Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get this emotional
no,
moment with him and
no.
Maurice.
Apes are good.
Your
Apes
son will
together,
remember you.
very good. You're like waiting for him to say apes together strong, and he says like something a little different. You're like, all right.
He says something like apes
Yeah.
together, strong with or without me. Like they'll
Yes,
be strong
yeah,
even if I'm
it's
not
good.
here. But he's
Well, then
like,
we get the
discovered
huge
surgery.
moment of Maurice, who has pretty much never spoken in this. And this is has to be like a conscious choice of like in this movie. Pretty much, Caesar is the only ape that speaks out loud. The rest of them prefer to sign language.
For the most part,
And
yeah.
Maurice,
They've also
Maurice is-
regressed to pretty much just doing noises. Like a lot of them
Yeah.
just communicate through ape, it seems like. But yes, continue.
It's interesting because we know the apes can talk, but it's almost like they refuse to try to be more human, so they resist the earth. Like they resist
It's
trying to be human. They prefer to sign language.
almost like if Caesar had been like, if we're at war with these people, then the decree is we can't use their tongue, except he's the one who talks the most. So
Yeah.
we know it's not that.
He
Yeah.
always talks. The rest of the monkeys or apes, I'm sorry, sign to him and grunt and stuff, but they don't like to vocalize their words so much.
Yeah.
And Maurice especially doesn't like to talk. I think he says like one thing, like one word in Dawn,
Maurice
right?
says
That's like a big
run
moment.
in
Yeah.
Dawn, and that's it. Yep. And then
And in this one, we have this climactic scene, this emotional scene where Maurice does speak to Caesar as he's dying and says,
Cornelius will know
"Your
his
son will know
father.
and the
Mhm.
apes will know what Caesar has done here today," or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Caesar like nods as he hears this. He's like, "That's good.
Mm,
That's
good.
great.
I can die
Thanks,
now.
dog.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then pretty much immediately he was like, "Okay, yeah,
That's about
that's
all
good.
I needed
I'm
to
going
hear."
die."
He just lays to the side.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it is it's a really touching moment and a fitting kind of end to Caesar's arc. Like he
yes.
yeah.
what more could he do, you know?
And then that
And this
score
scene-
goes off like crazy.
So
Yeah.
emotional. The theme kicks in, the soaring strings, and all the apes around are kind of playing and having fun. And Maurice starts vocalizing after Caesar dies,
right.
right? And starts doing this hooting noise. And all the apes slowly start to pay attention and be like, "Oh wait, Caesar died," and they all start like, giving him reverence, kind of thing. It's
Now,
really
I
emotional scene.
assumed this as a moviegoer when our hero got shot in the side and did the classic cover it up with your hand, look at it later, it's bleeding, keep
Yeah.
continuing on.
Yeah,
But I did not remember this or see this coming at all with this rewatch.
really.
I remember thinking there was some space between our next film, which, again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie, but basically happens 3 hours after this movie occurs is the opening scene of the next movie. I mean, what would you say? How quick to burying this character, right? So I
Oh.
thought there was more time between that. I thought he
mean-
lived a little. Remember, I pitched a movie where we saw demented old King Caesar.
Yeah.
The Mad King
No, his
Caesar,
storyline
yeah.
is very
Like we did.
succinct in that he
It's over.
does he does die in the end in his journey through these 3 movies, and it's almost like he's saved the ape race and gotten them to the promised land, that's all he was trying to do. And now he can die comfortably, and the other apes will live on and remember him and stuff.
Yes,
But yeah, it
he'll
is like,
become a god.
yeah, it is pretty jarring that he does die. And like, obviously almost his whole family dies in this movie, except Cornelius, who's going to be
Right.
growing up without the rest of his family, which is really sad.
I think Lake is going to take care of him. Or that was what was
Yeah.
presumed, keeping out Cornelius. But yeah, I had a similar thought when it came though, the scene, because I was like, this isn't in the beginning of the next one, even though the plot of the next one is like 400, 500 years in the future. I thought like this was like the opening scene, and then it said 500 years later. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is now, and it was.
We
really
do see
heavy.
we see Caesar's funeral in the beginning of the next one, right? And
That's
we see the
maybe
apes
where I
doing
got-
the sign, and yeah, obviously the window symbol becomes the symbol of his religious
Remember, Maurice,
following. Basically,
when I
Yeah.
die, I really liked that window. Like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, we know.
Well, he remembered him drawing it at the
Draw it
zoo, and he went to
when
the
you
house.
can.
Pass it on
Yeah.
as a symbol that people will remember me by, and definitely, certain groups may distort my viewpoints in the future, not unlike Jesus Christ himself.
Remember those
Right.
hats I made? Make apes great again. Mega.
We
Like,
built
oh,
the wall.
that's where it came from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make apes great
Um,
again. Yeah. Well.
But that's why I'm excited to talk about the next one, because it does delve into that like idea of like, oh, something hundreds of years ago can be distorted in different ways, and this sort of religious movement can be utilized in different ways. So I love that about the next
Teachings
one.
of Christ.
No.
Yeah.
And I think with this trilogy, and especially this one, we're talking about it being about the horrors of war and World War II and a lot of stuff like that, obviously, as metaphor. But like, I love the old ones because they were always these kind of social parables, or like, reflections on society. And this is like looking at really heavy things in our society, the heaviest subject matter the Apes films have ever covered, really. And it does a really great job of creating an emotional character arc out of that you buy into. So
Yeah.
I was really impressed with it continuing to be a lens, for society.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go
Obviously,
there and
yeah.
not say, one's worse than the other or whatever, because I think we're fans of all of it. But before we go to our quiz, before we go to our final thoughts, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the old films or these new films, Mike?
Oh man, I still prefer the old ones just because they have a charm. And Roddy McDowall, I love Andy Serkis, but I love my Roddy McDowall. But I think they're both. I would put them on equal cultural footing as far as like value and importance. I don't. I think there's not a wrong answer. It's just personal preference.
For me, it's a case by case basis. Like, this is obviously the most inspired by Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which I think is the weakest of the old ones. This, I think, is a lot better movie than Battle for Planet of the Apes in a lot of ways. But really, I've done my ranking already, like on Letterboxd, even though, we'll talk about that next month with Kingdom. But the way I have it ranked now, it's like old movie, new movie, old movie, new movie. So it's very
Wow.
layered like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I'm excited to
cool,
reveal that.
dude.
Yeah. But I really like both. If you consider them like two different franchises, like Rise, Dawn, Rise through Kingdom as one franchise, and the first five, and then obviously you have the Tim Burton one in the middle. But I really think there's like an equal number of like good and less good ones.
It's
So,
crazy that I
That's
keep
awesome.
relating it to, it's these two different film franchises, and then Jacob just reminded me that the Tim Burton one exists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've already
one in the middle.
completely forgot it. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see which
That was
one
the
ends up
awkward
as the
teenage
bottom.
phase.
I'll give you a hint. I know which one it is for me.
Yeah.
I think these films are better made. I think the originals are more rewatchable. And I think that mileage may vary, because I could obviously see someone who really rewatches these three films. To me, it's just harder because these ones kick off with what I think is a weaker entry, opposed to
Yeah.
the originals kick off with the
It's
great
almost like
entry.
the
These ones
originals.
almost build.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I think, not to give away too much of my rankings, but I think these new ones get better with every installment.
Yes.
The old ones almost got worse with not
Yes.
because I like
As
three,
Well, they
the
three and
budget
four a lot.
became worse and worse. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They start strong, dip a little bit, then get better for 3 and 4, and then dip again.
Yeah.
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 No, I hear you. But I think, again, it's cool that this franchise that started in 1968, like, still continues to produce movies that are of value. I would say even with Kingdom, we'll talk about it next month, but it's just,
Right.
yeah, it's just wild that these ape movies that were kind of goofy in their day, but had something to say, are still like saying something
Yeah.
full chest,
No,
you
we
know?
said it a bunch of times, but this is like one of the best like legacy franchises that's come back and like made its own identity against like all odds. Like whenever they announced like these movies, like I never thought they were gonna work as well as they did. And even with Kingdom, which I'm excited to talk about next month, I was very skeptical. I'm like, oh, they're moving on from Caesar, a character I love so much. It's going to be hundreds of years in the future. It couldn't possibly like be good. And then I was very pleasantly surprised. So the fact that they keep making these movies and they're good and they have like things to say, and you just don't see that often.
What you said about just legacy films and franchises in general, Jacob, do these three movies stand shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings? Is this a heavy hitter franchise?
Hmm.
I think it is. I mean, if you're comparing it as like a trilogy to other trilogies, it's not as consistently strong because I think the first installment is the weakest in
The last
Rise.
two are so good.
Yeah, but it's like if you
Yeah.
compare it to Lord of the Rings, like it's consistent all the way through with Lord of the Rings because they were, shot at the same time, planned all out as a trilogy and everything based
There's
on
no
books.
Fellowship doesn't just have like and starring James Franco, where you're like,
Right.
sorry we blew that one. It's like, no.
It's almost like
No,
these
it's not
movies
sick
started
anymore.
like Rise starts as like a traditional blockbuster that's not like amazing or anything, and then slowly become these movies that they are, especially with the jump up from Dawn and then War kind of sustaining that quality.
Yeah. I'll say this, and I have one more thought. This is one of the best third movies in any trilogy.
Mm,
Like a lot of third
yes,
movies don't land it. This is you're ending on a high
absolutely.
note, so I give it that.
Yeah.
Return of
And
the
then
King obviously is good, but again, those it's hard to compare something that was planned out and filmed at the same time versus like three different installments that weren't necessarily planned at the beginning.
Return of the Jedi is my favorite. A lot of people
Mm.
don't like it.
well, Ewoks,
That
I get it. Yeah.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah,
doesn't land.
a lot of people point to like The Godfather Part 3, which was made many years after the first two, and very different, and maybe
Back to the
shouldn't have been
Future
made.
3, I don't love.
Yeah, that's
That's
the worst
my
one of
yeah,
those.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like that these movies inverted the social commentary about, oh, what if humans were oppressed by apes to looking at apes being the oppressed class. I think that's a really smart
Yeah,
thing to have done with these.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we go to final thoughts, it's the war for the planet of the quiz, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. You quiz it up, you maniacs, you quiz it all to hell. Shave those heads, baby. It's go time.
Getting some shaving cream.
Uh-huh. I love the smell of shaving cream in the morning.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We're running around like Spider and Avatar,
Hmm.
wishing we were Spider in Planet of the Apes. Again, real quick, say what your ape name would be. I would obviously be Bobo.
Okay.
Hmm,
I would be.
that's a good question.
They always get named after like natural objects and things, like
Yes.
water, lake. I guess
Right.
I would be mud. Why not?
Mud. And if you have one thing about you, you're also named that thing. So keep that in mind
Yes.
too. What would you be?
I would be, I don't know. I guess I would be Coco, named after my favorite ape.
Coco.
Um,
I'll be Georgie's. It's Georgie's birthday or whatever.
do they ever say where do
Yeah.
they get the name Cornelius in these movies? Or like Cornelia is the mom.
It's so insane that her name is Cornelia. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Unless that was like her name in the lab or whatever. Like
Her
Koba and
name,
C.
Bright Eyes. His name, Red. Her name, Cornelia.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what was the last
I guess
one you...
I think it's the humans named her that when she was in the lab. That's why she has her human name. But the new apes generally have names like Blue Eyes or Lake.
Yep.
Um,
Your name
No,
would be Glass. You do have an ape that
I'd be
wore
an ape
glasses.
wearing glasses. I'm an ape, but I still have bad eyesight for some reason.
can I just be Bigfoot?
Yeah. I would be
Yeah.
named
Call it
Dumb
that.
Ape.
Dumbass.
Well,
Yeah,
let
that's
me see
me.
this. What kind of would you want to be, a gorilla or an orangutan
That's
or just a
great
chimpanzee?
question. Have we ever answered that in any
I
of
don't
these?
think we have.
I don't know.
Jesus. Or a bonobo.
Well, let's think
I've
about
said
that,
Bonobo.
before.
and we'll answer it in final
Oh, yes.
thoughts. That's
That's
a
a
good
great
lead to
answer.
say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a good
Yeah.
question.
I think I would be closest to Bad Ape. I think Bad Ape represents me the most in these movies, so I'd be probably looking similar to him.
Yeah, Bad Jake.
I'll be Sad
Yeah.
Ape in that case.
Sad Ape.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as I get
What
a
was
puffy
the-
winter coat.
What was the NFT's name?
Oh, Bored Apes. Yeah.
I would be Bored Ape.
All my apes
Okay.
gone. There's a meme of like someone on Twitter who has like a meltdown because they got all their apes stolen out of their NFT wallet, and they're like, "All my apes gone." And that's what I was thinking when these apes were escaping the prison. All my apes
Was
gone.
his name Seth Green?
Yeah.
Live footage of the
no,
NFTs
some random
leaving the wallet.
NFT crypto
that scene.
person.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, you know how it works, everybody. It's 10 true and false questions. 1 is true, 2 is false. We hold up the fingies. I got a scoreboard here, and I also
Wow.
have a couple bonus answers that are not true and false. But we'll see where we
love
go.
it.
So,
I love it. I always appreciate these. You both are so good at putting these together for our franchises. Thank you for handling these ones, Mike.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely, it's fun. You know, ape together strong. So, question number 1, we're going to kick it off here. A 13-year-old Woody Harrelson played one of the human children as a background actor in the 1974 Return of the Planet of the Apes television show. True or false?
Okay, I'm locked
Wait, is
in.
1 true or 2?
1
Two
is true,
false?
1
2
is true,
false.
2 is false.
Okay. I'm
All right.
ready.
So, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'll
False.
say true.
Jacob says true. Colin says false. It is false. I made it up, but it
Ah,
sounds fairly plausible.
sounded
sounded real.
like something that you couldn't make up.
I think one of his first roles, it was in 1976 or 77. It was like a random movie. So that's right around maybe when he's beginning his
Yeah.
career. So it could have worked out.
Sure.
And the fact that you said the TV show, Mike, really made it seem plausible.
Yes.
Right. But you know, you just got to zing one by you there. Number 2. The name for the humanoid apes, donkey, is both a reference to Donkey Kong and their use as pack animals. Both things, true or false?
I'm locked
Okay.
in.
I'm locked in.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'm gonna say
So
true.
true.
Yeah,
All right,
sounds
you both
true
get
to
a
me.
point. That is true.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that they have the humans at one point have like a sign that says the only good Kong is a dead Kong.
I like
And-
when Woody Harrelson calls in. He's like, "King Kong is dead." I repeat, King Kong is dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good too. And did you know the only good Kong is a dead Kong? That's Aldo. The only good human is a dead human. So it's
Right.
a reference to Battle of the Planet of the Apes.
That's right.
Free fun fact.
This one
It-
seems most referential. It seems like
Hmm.
the first one had a lot of Easter eggs. The second one, not so much. This one, a ton of references, including that score. Just
Yeah.
really just threw me for a loop. I was so
think-
happy to hear it.
Yeah, there was some references to the score in the last one as well, but I feel like this score really leveled up and really stood out to me in a way that the Dawn score didn't as much.
Yeah,
But
agree.
yeah, definitely references to those themes, like different musical instruments and things like that to give it that sound. But man, what a great score.
I mean, Jerry Goldsmith's one of the best to ever do it. It's a good person to take notes from and bring more of
That's
that in.
right.
So, you know. Pardon me. Number 3 then. Let's go. Speaking of references, Charlton Heston has a small voice cameo in the film. True or false?
Okay,
I'm
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Not a
I'm gonna
chance.
say false.
Well, get this, guys. It's true.
It's true.
He's
I thought he was, like,
long
dead
dead
by
by
then.
this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
So, right, it's a recorded line when Maurice is saying Nova's name. Nova.
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 That's Charlton Heston
You are
saying it in
Nova.
the original movie. They just digitally altered it and pitched it down. That's
Really?
Charlton Heston
It's-
saying Nova.
So crazy at the end of the movie when Maurice speaks for the first time and he calls Caesar a damn dirty ape and says, "Get your hands off me."
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're going to be gone. You
Give me a
damn
gun
dirty
and
ape.
some ammo.
This
Um,
is power. Yeah.
Give
It's
me a
interesting because
kiss.
Maurice, played by a female actor.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I assume they had someone else do the voice because you don't hear obviously Maurice that much. But I guess for the ending, I thought maybe they had a different actor do the voice for those lines too.
I think it's her voice in the ending. It's just altered a little bit, but
Right.
They have to pitch
Pitched down.
shift it, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'd like to
But
see
yeah.
a picture of her. You've talked about her a lot, Mike, and her inspiration. I won't forget the 3 orangutans you said
Mhm.
that inspired the different moods. One's name was like Stevie or Rusty or
Yeah,
something like that. It was very
they got
cute.
cute names. Yeah, but no, she's great.
Yeah.
As wear the 10-pound weights on her arms to like.
Right.
Yeah.
And Maurice is such a great character because Maurice is like the only ape that like doesn't, you know, resort to violence like as the number one option. So
Maybe the only one who doesn't
Mm.
fire a gun in this entire trilogy. That's interesting.
yeah,
Doesn't hold
Yeah.
a gun in this movie, so
Yeah.
and is
can
constantly
confirm
trying to like
that.
stop people from fighting and stuff, and just is really the
Yeah.
heart of the ape
Mhm.
society.
Peacemaker.
Yeah, you love it. This one might be a freebie, but we'll try it. Due to only briefly appearing in the film, Judy Greer decided not to return to play Cornelia in this film. True or false?
Okay.
Did she bother to show up for a half a
Yeah.
day? True or false?
Locked in.
3, 2, 1 reveal?
Say
I'll say
false.
true.
Wow. Well, Colin got it again. It is false.
Damn.
Um,
I thought it
she
sounded
did.
reasonable because it was such a small role, and Judy Greer is a pretty known actress. But I
But
guess it makes
Jacob,
sense.
you
Probably only
forget
come
that
for
it
like a
was
couple days
her
of shooting.
husband's wedding gift. We learned in the last episode that her
That's his
family is
secret
so
dream.
invested in the apes
Oh,
that
right.
she must continue this role.
She's like, I'm
Yeah.
canceling everything. I need to get down to
Huh.
the.
It's like
I need
there's
to
not
get
a
to Toronto.
chance.
hmm So good for Judy. Here's another question, number 5. Right now it's 3 to 1 for Colin. So we'll
Doing
see.
terrible.
Red the donkey is the first gorilla to speak in the reboot series so far. True or false? Red is the first gorilla to speak.
I'm locked in.
Okay. I'm locked in.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal.
True.
I'll say false.
Ooh, Colin got another one on you.
I'm doing
Jacob. It
bad.
is true.
I knew it. I
In
thought
the
some gorilla had to talk in Dawn or something.
Luca
never
talks
talks?
in this, but not till the end or something. I think Red's definitely the
Hmm.
first we hear because he's always like, "Caesar, you gotta knock it off." He's like has these like long like speeches.
Yeah.
They're very.
I guess
interesting.
Red is like in this movie like pretty much the only other ape aside from Caesar that does talk a lot because the rest of them
But-
prefer to sign.
I've
Yep,
saved
bad ape,
myself.
but
What will be
Bad
left
ape,
to save? And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Mm,
I wonder if that's because
That's
he
right.
lives with the humans now that he
Yes.
speaks because they don't know sign
very
language and stuff.
vocal." That's
Yeah.
true,
That's true.
Jacob. It's interesting.
Well, it's like if you're learning a language and you're not hearing it every day, right? You're not going to pick it up. So if they're just signing, it's probably a lot harder for the apes to just. But Caesar grew up with humans, so he's kind of got that already. So the signing
Right.
maybe comes more naturally. It's more used day to day with them. But
It's so crazy when Colonel Kurtz puts that gun to his head and he's like about to do it. And Caesar looks so sad and kind of like, pensive. And we talked about it's like such a bold moment. And then
Mhm.
Colonel Kurtz, the nosebleed stops and he looks up and says, "But I'm not sick anymore."
that's right. Yeah, that was great.
I was thinking about Caesar's journey from hanging out with John Lithgow saying I'm not sick anymore to now being on the martyr of all apes. What a journey he's been on.
Being murdered by an arrow. Do you think James Franco foresaw that? Like, he'll be shot in the
Yeah.
woods during a war.
Hey, here's
Right.
something I didn't think about. Is there something poetic to the fact that somebody named Preacher kills him and thus deifies him to become a religious figure for the apes?
Preacher. I mean, that has to be on purpose. You're right.
And Jesus
Mike.
was
Yeah.
stabbed in the side with a spear. I don't know.
Oh
See,
God,
imagery.
don't! I don't want to
Really-
hear it.
The only way it could be more on the
Hey,
nose if that
Jesus.
character was named Judas.
Yes,
Judas Preacher. Judas Preach.
Yeah.
string him up, string
Yes,
Caesar up onto that cross. And you're
Well, they
like,
do.
no, come on, don't. Well,
Yeah.
they scarecrow him, but it's different.
It's different, yeah.
Right.
Not
I mean,
for
even
3
his
days.
symbol obviously the window symbol looks a lot like a cross. So there's definitely
Oh my
some
gosh.
In what way?
allegorical things going
4
on there.
points.
Yeah.
It's the star above the manger, Colin. Come on.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. All right, number 6.
Remember,
here.
Caesar, your birthday is December 25th.
That's
Like,
right.
okay, come on.
I'm putting the Caesar back in Caesmus. Where are we going? Okay, got it. Number 6. Sorry. Andy Serkis would go on to direct
Caesmus.
a film.
It's also he's named after a Roman who the Romans were the ones that killed Jesus.
It means king, king of kings,
Yeah.
Christ, king of kings.
Saturnalia. It's not a,
Caesar is Lord. I'm always saying that. Caesar is Lord.
Well, you have that
Absolutely.
bracelet. What would Caesar do?
That's right.
Dude.
WWCD. I
Absolutely.
live by that every day.
Make apes great again.
Next question.
All right. Andy Serkis would later go on to direct a film co-starring Woody Harrelson in 2021. True or false?
I'm locked in.
All right.
I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1 reveal.
True.
True. Is that the
Yes.
Jungle Book movie that he did?
You fool! Carnage.
Oh,
Yes,
that's right.
It was Carnage.
So
Yeah.
Andy Serkis also directed. So I think Jon Favreau did the Disney Jungle Book live action movie, and at the same time, Andy Serkis was making Mowgli of the Jungle or something, which is a different Jungle Book movie for Netflix.
Oh, right.
Those movies kind of came out in around the same time.
There's no
There's
way
a
the
real
effects
Deep
look
Impact
like this
Armageddon type
movie, right?
No, Weta was probably not doing that.
Probably
No.
not as good, but I mean, it's still Andy Serkis, so I assume I've never seen it, but I assume like the effects are good and stuff. But
I assume the performances through the motion capture are good. I do not assume the effects are good.
yeah.
No, when you have fur freezing like with little ice crystal, this movie's insane with how it looks. You can't.
It is.
Can't touch it.
My one other complaint, though, just to air my last grievance, just the two, I swear. I just didn't like the
That's fine.
donkeys in this. I agree with you guys that it looks great. I think it looks tremendous in the snow. Jacob, to our point about how films are kind of poorly lit, do they not pull off the fire stuff in this? Is it too dark sometimes?
Hmm.
My opinion, it kind of is.
Like in what parts?
I think in a lot of the parts where they're just sort of like lighting it by fire, he's moving through the
Oh.
woods, or he's like, in the camp the first time where he's like sort of like meeting the people. It's kind of, you can't see anything. There's not even enough highlights on their faces or anything. And I almost wonder if that's to mask how much CGI is in the scenes.
Could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently
I didn't
there's
really
only,
notice
like-
that so much.
Yeah.
Bad Ape's a little dark maybe when they're at the fire in the
Yeah.
resort.
Well, that's a super dark scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
I guess there's only like, now I'm forgetting if I don't know if it's 4 or 14 shots. I think there's 14 shots total that have no CG in them in this movie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
There's something so like cinematic about these apes riding horses around in the snow that just
This
That's
one
all
having
horses.
guns too, it's like insane.
And it makes the Pacific Northwest look lovely.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got another question here if you're ready.
let's do it.
Woody Harrelson is a real-life vegan and animal rights activist and would often jokingly eat a Caesar salad during lunch on set. True or false?
I'm coming for you, Caesar.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked
All right.
in.
3, 2, 1, reveal.
True.
I
I say
tricked
true.
both of you guys. It's
Oh.
false. I was just
That
Caesar
sounds like
salads
something
have
he would do.
anchovies and cheese.
You can get
Oh, that's
You
right.
can get
An egg.
old anchovies though. And
I
egg.
know you could, but
Yeah,
it was
all
too
the
funny
Caesar
not
dressing
to.
has the egg. Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
never.
He would never.
Is he
but it was-
vegan or is he vegetarian?
I bet he's vegan.
I saw vegan on my trivia lookup, but vegetarian maybe hold the anchovies and he could have a Caesar, but he wasn't doing it as a joke actively, even if he was. That was made
Right.
up by me.
I'm a meat eater, but I do respect vegetarians and vegans. I think it's the morally right thing to do, but I'm too weak to do that. And also, it's hard to be a vegan unless you're pretty well off because it's just
Right.
it's hard to buy vegan food. It's more expensive
I
generally.
just don't have the
Here's-
power to think about what I'm eating every second of the day.
Yeah.
If I did, if I had the foresight, I could do it, but I just don't think that's possible.
I have a lot of respect for people that are long time like vegetarians and stuff, though, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm a
It's
person who.
hard to be disciplined to do that.
Yeah, and we don't have when you're in a food desert, as a lot of people are, but that's a story for another time. I do
Yeah.
think like I eat meat, and maybe it's not even a hot take, but my take is hunting is the most ethical way to be a meat eater. Like
Yeah.
Caesar was doing in Dawn of the Planet
That's
of the Apes.
true.
Because it lives
And
a
like
full
like
life,
the Native
you use every
Americans
part
and
of
things like
it.
that. Yeah.
It's better than a
I
McDonald's.
just think
meal.
in the era of like lab grown meat and like Beyond and Impossible stuff, like we're running out of excuses why we should still be eating meat.
Jacob, would you eat a lab grown ape?
Whoa, I would.
I don't know why that would be an option.
99%
but-
human DNA equivalent.
When
I wouldn't.
McDonald's starts selling it, they call them Caesar
Right.
burgers.
Oh, the Caesar
Oh
wrap.
no,
Yeah,
I could never eat Caesar.
the ape rib is back.
It's limited. That's how they get you.
It's
It's
extremely
scarcity.
limited.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's a question. Number 8. Colin right now is winning 5-2, Jacob, but there's some bonus points.
There's no
They're
chance.
maybe
Ah,
Just give
available.
up.
I'm losing.
All apes die here. Sleep, you know. Speaking of that line, Koba was originally intended to return as the main villain of the film. True or false?
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
False.
True.
Colin, you lost one to Jacob, but it's true. Jacob gets
Yes.
the point.
I
It
think
was
I
in a
knew
very
that because
early stage.
yeah, I think when they were making Dawn, they were like not sure if they wanted to kill off Koba at the end of that one or have him come back in the next one.
At the very end of the credits, you can hear like tired breathing, like ragged breathing of potentially he's still
Somehow
alive.
Koba has returned.
It's
Somehow
crazy
Koba's
when
returned.
the colonel is lifting him up on that conveyor belt and Koba's in that metal suit now and he's like, what happened to Cornelia? Is she safe? And he says, in your madness, you killed her.
No.
No.
Can I learn this
Yeah.
power not from a chimpanzee? All right.
Oh man.
Next question. This is the final Planet of the Apes film to be released by Fox. True or false?
I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Reveal.
False.
I say false.
That is
Wasn't Kingdom Fox?
No. Well, maybe I tricked you guys. Kingdom
Because they
was
got bought by
released.
Disney.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
true that this was the
course.
final one because 2 years after this they were acquired by
My-
Disney. So yeah,
That's such a good twist, of course.
well, the reason I wanted to bring that up is because it's kind of to me, I thought it was kind of symbolic in a way that the franchise that kind of saved Fox from the brink of destruction, and they forced all those sequels out after the first one was so successful.
Right.
Kept it alive all the way until Caesar's death, which was the symbolic death of Fox Studios. So
That's
I don't know.
funny. That's why I'm still pitching for our next franchise we do, the X-Men movies, do another Fox franchise about the downfall of Fox, I guess.
Wow.
Just dig up, exhume the Fox franchises.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad that now when I think of Kingdom, which I'm excited to see, and I thought it was good the first time I saw it, I'm like, dang, that's a Disney movie.
Speaking of, have you guys ever seen that Charlize Theron, Seth Rogen rom-com? I don't
Yes.
even know what it's called.
I have. Yes,
and
I have.
Jacob,
It's
Andy
about a-
Serkis plays a Rupert Murdoch type character, of course, the owner of Fox.
Right. I don't remember him in that
Huh.
movie, but that is a movie basically about a politician, Charlize Theron, who falls in love with this speechwriter, Seth Rogen, who like works on
Long
her
Shot?
campaign. The Long Shot, yeah, or Long Shot.
Hmm.
Not bad for a rom com. I thought it was pretty good actually. They have good chemistry. You wouldn't expect maybe Seth Rogen and Charlize to have chemistry, but they did.
I say it would be a long shot that he could pull her, but that's just me.
Right. And June Diane Raphael plays her like best friend in that movie.
All right. Yeah.
So
Fair.
there you go.
Well, Charlize is in the ape radar because of Mighty Joe Young, so
Yes.
Oh,
never
God.
forget.
What a
All right.
Alright.
I have 2 more questions actually. I have 11 and then the bonus. So this is question number 10. Colin is
I
up
don't think I can
6 to
catch up to
3.
Colin at this point.
There's some
yeah.
bonus points, trust me.
Okay.
+5.
All right, so yeah, number 10. Here we go. This film was the first Planet of the Apes film in the reboot series to win an Academy Award for Best Special Effects. True or false?
Good question.
I'm locked in.
All right, I'm locked in. Wait, did you say win or nominated?
To win.
Okay,
Best
I'm
special effect,
locked
it's
in.
the first of the reboot series to actually win. They've all been nominated, but this one won.
Okay,
it.
yeah,
True or
yeah.
false?
All right,
Okay. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'll
False.
say true.
Oh man, it's false. Colin gets a point.
Damn it.
Right.
I don't
So
think it
here's-
won one.
No.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
I didn't know. Sounded plausible.
Of course, yeah, because it's the best looking one. But they were all nominated, yet they all lost. So Rise of the Planet of the Apes lost to Hugo, which I've never seen.
Okay. Martin Scorsese.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes lost to Interstellar.
Okay.
Okay,
Fair,
well,
McConaughey.
well deserved. Yeah, for Interstellar.
And then where's my notes? And then War of the Planet of the Apes lost to Blade Runner 2049.
Okay, yeah.
But
I
also nominated the
mind
same
that.
year was Kong Skull Island, where Kong was played by Toby Kebbell, who played Koba.
That's right. And I do
So
like
there you
that
go.
movie.
Or who
Yeah.
played King Kong? Yeah. So anyway,
I was looking at Best Actor Oscar for that year because like what Andy Serkis could have been nominated, and that was the year it was like Timothy Chalamet for Call Me by Your Name, and I forget who else like who won that year.
mhm.
Let me look that up real quick. So I was like,
I just want to make a prediction
surely
while
Andy
you're
Serkis
looking
could have
that
been
up.
one of these spots.
I'm
Yeah,
almost positive Timmy's going to win this year.
The
yeah, it's
first
either for the Bob Dylan movie, or it's between him and Rafe Fiennes and Adrian Brody right now are the three
I
front
think
runners.
Adrian Brody's out of the race with this whole AI
The AI
controversy with there.
controversy,
Yeah.
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 I haven't seen
We'll
that
talk about that
controversy
maybe
yet.
next week
Yes, we
Yeah.
will.
in our best films of the year.
They say the
Okay, yeah,
voting pool has been giving a lot of legacy awards. Like the people under 30 are not winning awards a lot lately. So
Interesting.
maybe Timmy can break that, but we'll see.
well, this is I think
You're
I
right
agree
on
with you
that.
with the Timothy Chalamet because he's also lost a lot previously for other roles, and so this is kind of like his turning point of becoming an Oscar winner. But we'll see. But yeah, that year was Gary Oldman, ape actor, or franchise actor, won for The Darkest Hour, where he played Winston Churchill in that role. He wore a lot of
Right.
makeup and stuff. Timothy Chalamet, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, and Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire, a movie I don't think
That's
anyone's ever
what I
seen.
think out, yeah.
No.
Yeah, get Denzel out of there. As much as I mean, he's an amazing actor, but he's been nominated many
Uh,
times.
Yeah, we
yeah.
talk about him next week
Get,
too.
put Andy Serkis in there. He deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, he should. It's performance capture. It's not. It's not
Yeah.
computer generated. Like
If
come on.
yeah, the Academy loves when Gary Oldman wears a fat suit to play Winston Churchill, or
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser. So why is heavy makeup and stuff different from CGI? It's the same thing essentially. It's just still acting underneath it all.
What if
Yeah.
Caesar was just Andy Serkis in a fat suit?
Then he would be nominated.
Right.
Yeah. All right. One more question and then the bonus, which I think should be fun. 6-3, Colin. There was a contest held for fans of the Apes franchise to do their best ape impression, and the winner was selected and flown to Toronto to be an ape in the movie. True or false?
Okay.
I'm locked in.
I'm locked in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I'll say true.
I'll say false.
Ooh,
I'm gonna go
it's
down. I'll
true.
fucking go down. Okay.
It just there didn't seem to be one that just was like highlighted enough to be like, "Hey Caesar, how are you?" Like that
Yeah.
weird, like stilted. So
Who's the one that played Winner
who
or
is
something?
it?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, just a background ape.
I found
Yeah.
this out in the 11th hour, and I was looking up YouTube for trivia, and then I saw a 31-second spot with Matt Reeves and Andy Serkis, and like, hey, we're on the Planet of the Apes set. Send your ape imitation, and you could be in the movie. And all I could find was a photo, a tweet of the winner and Andy Serkis. Her name is Roxanne. I don't have a last name.
I
All I know
love
is-
her. I
Yeah.
love the outfit that Andy Serkis wears when he does these. Thank you for showing us that picture, Mike. That's so crazy. Because obviously it's cold.
that.
I mean, it's so much
They were in
baggier.
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about when you're acting against these ape actors too. Like the human actors have to pretend that you're acting with apes instead of a guy wearing dots all over
That's
his
not
face.
Caesar. That's Andy Serkis. They're like, no,
Right.
we know, Woody.
So I have no idea who Roxanne played, but now it's like the mystery I want to know. So Roxanne, if you're listening to this,
I assume
first
it's
of all,
not a-
congratulations.
He played
Yeah.
Cornelius.
There's no
Congratulations, 8
speaking.
years ago.
You got to be Cornelius. Yeah, it's not a
Played
speaking
such
role,
an
I don't
important
presume.
part.
I imagine
there's
it's just a background ape because I don't
Right.
think it's even like a small character like Lake or Winter or anything.
No, but
Hey,
isn't there someone that like I don't know opens the door a little bit, like just
Yeah.
off in the
Yeah.
background, like someone doing something? But congratulations
There's,
to you,
you know
Roxanne.
there's one during the poop fling scene who gives a like, it wasn't me. I wonder if that's who it is.
That's a good
Yeah.
poll. So if
'Cause
anybody,
that's
on
the
internet
only
knows,
ape that's just like not really featured. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
we're giving you one cutaway, right, for the contest.
Yeah.
So I'm just now racking my brain to figure out where that is. I was doing research up to the final minute of this record to figure out who Roxanne is and where she is in
That's
the movie.
crazy.
But hey,
Wow.
good for her. I would love to be an ape in one of these. That's awesome.
I would kill to be an ape in one of these movies.
What if we got to do the next version of Hear No Evil, See No Evil, Speak No Evil? What if they got all three of us to
that
be in it?
would make me very happy.
Yeah,
Just putting it
I
out
only
there.
want to be in it if I can be one of Caesar's followers. You know.
I love Disney.
I'd do
I
it
love
if
that
I
you
could be a
acquired it.
mutant. They said you could have a big, goofy, melted face. I'd be like, absolutely.
I thought you meant a mute
Yeah.
human. A mutant.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll be a mute human.
I want to be a
All right.
psychic in a robe.
Yes. They're in that dam that the Proxima's trying to open up, not to get too far ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the
All
bonus
right,
question.
bonus question.
I'm trying to figure out how to word it. There's up to maybe 3 points up for grabs. So it's
Okay.
just whoever thinks they can do it, I guess, raise your hand. We'll just have to do it that
sure.
way. So here we go.
Buzz in with your best ooh ooh ah ah.
Right.
Okay.
So here's how I'm going to phrase this. It's whoever can just knows them, I guess. It's hard to arbitrate
Right.
this. Anyway, Andy Serkis and Woody Harrelson have played 3 characters in the Star Wars universe. Can you name those 3 characters? 1 point for each character.
Oh,
Okay, I think
was
Jacob
first.
oohed first.
Yeah,
Wait, I have to name them.
yeah.
There's
Actually,
There's 3 total.
never mind. I can tell you the characters. So Andy Serkis. Well, he played Snoke, right?
That's 1. Yes. Okay.
I thought that's the one you wouldn't get, but go ahead.
Snoke is the name I do know. He played
Yeah.
a character in Andor. I couldn't name him for you, but he played a character in the prison break part of Andor.
Colin, you've never seen Andor, so you're at a
I've never seen
disadvantage.
That's right.
There's no way I would know it. Yeah.
What
A
about
rare
Woody
Andy
Harrelson's
Serkis
character?
no mocap human acting role where he plays a normal guy.
His name's like
in
Kino Lorber. It's almost
Yeah.
like the pun on like
Club Shido.
yeah. It's
I'm
Something
gonna-
Star Warsy. Yeah.
Colin hasn't
And
seen
then-
it, and he said Kino. It's Kino Loy. I'm gonna give it to
I
him.
knew it.
Kino
I
Loy.
for
knew
not
it
having
was.
seen it.
How do you
That's
know
pretty
that you haven't even
impressive.
seen it?
Because I listened to the Cargo Bay where you did those episodes, Jacob. I remember
that's
you bringing
amazing.
it up. Shout out to Adam.
Shout out
So-
Cargo Bay. And he was great in that role. Like he was a
He's great as Kino
standout
Loy.
of Andor. And
On
then
program.
to answer, Woody Harrelson's role was in Solo, a Star Wars story where he played
Mhm.
Solo's mentor type figure, which I also can't remember his name. So there you
Well,
His name is
how
like
could you-
Bandit Dashing Handsome, man.
go. Yeah.
he was based on Long John Silver, surprising enough, but he was Tobias
Right.
Beckett in that movie. He gave him his gun.
Tobias
Oh,
Beckett.
that sucks.
It sucks. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks. That's the worst.
It's not as bad as
Yeah.
hey, you're here by yourself. I guess your last name's Solo.
Beckett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beckett. That sucks for Star Wars.
Beckett is a
you
background
know,
character
you know
in
I'm
Dawn.
into. Yeah.
Right.
But so the final results
Do I get
are
points for that?
yeah, but you get 1. Colin was already up 1, so Colin 7,
Right.
Jacob 4.
Colin
Or
gets a
Jacob
point
5.
for pulling Kino Loy somehow without having seen Andor.
I know
Right.
he definitely got that, but
And then he has such a
5-7,
great
Colin.
moment, not to spoil
I can't
Andor,
swim.
but so they escape from this prison, a prison escape movie,
Hey,
and the ultimate reveal of Andy Serkis' character, they have to basically they're on this prison planet where there's water like all over the planet, right? And the reveal of Andy Serkis is that he goes, I can't swim when they're all escaping. I never learned how to swim. So
Apes
and we don't know what
like
happens to
water
that
either.
character. Yeah.
Right.
That would never stop me. There would be, you could be like, just think of any scenario where you're like, well, no, you'd have to do this survivor. Like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Like,
You would just drown if
Matter,
you
like,
didn't know how to
get
swim.
out of the way. It's like, okay, what do you mean? What are you talking about? You just like try to get to the top. It's like you just get out of here, man.
It's
Yeah.
not like an empty
I guess
box
it's something
or
you could
something,
just
a space box
learn.
you could throw
Yeah.
out there and float on.
right.
They got crates.
I
In the
don't
Boy
know.
Scouts, they teach you to blow your pant legs up, fill them with air. Make a little floaty.
Help me. Somebody help me.
Sure.
I'm like
Yeah.
the hero.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah, I would help him swim. Anyway,
I mean, we all probably know how to swim, but I guess if you didn't know how to swim, you would just learn by being in the water and like splashing about and trying to learn how to tread water.
Does
I guess.
Luke Skywalker know how to swim? He's from a desert planet.
He's from a
I bet
desert
he
planet.
doesn't.
I assume no. He's never been in a body of water
Does
before.
he swim in the swamps of Dagobah? Is there a scene where he
Hmm.
gets himself out of
No,
there?
he just wades through the water basically.
yeah. Okay.
He's
Carries
never
Yoda on
swam.
his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
He's never swam. Never had to.
Obi-Wan can. We see scenes of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan swimming.
Yeah. Well, they've been all around. They've been to Gungan.
Well, if you
land.
go to the Jedi Academy, like day one, they're like, we got to get like swimming down. It's like before we
Gotta
like
get those
do
little
anything,
breathers.
like you're gonna like learn how to do this shit.
Learn doggy
Yeah.
paddle, you will. Yeah.
You learn how to
For
do
sure.
super quick force.
Yoda.
You can do a force dash that we'll use once and never again.
Yeah, never in the film.
Right. Well, sorry for the light spoilers for Star Wars property that we're not properly discussing on this episode.
Yeah.
But that was
Watching
quiz,
it, though, it's a great
everybody.
show.
Yeah. And Scott, if you like Andy Serkis,
Well,
and you
great
want to see his
quiz.
face.
And should we say
Congratulations,
we are
Colin.
going to see him again? Should we commit to it? We're doing Peter Jackson's King Kong, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, that's the bonus.
For our bonus episode,
That's the
let's
bonus.
do
Round
it.
it out.
Let's
In
do
honor
it.
I
of
think
Caesar,
so.
the man who brought him to life, we'll give him a Kong. Yeah.
Andy doing apes. Come on.
That'll be our roundup, but that'll be in 2 months. But yeah,
I love it.
Roll over to final thoughts, I'd say.
Let's
Get this
do it.
Donkey Konga going.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We just lost our hero, our champion, our savior, Caesar. But that's all right. We're going to move on as we wrap things up here. And as we said, move on to the next Apes film after this in a month. But real quick, before we get our final thoughts, Jacob, confirm again what our next episode is.
Yeah, next episode we'll be doing our long anticipated top 10 films of the year of 2024. And boy, I'm excited to talk about some movies.
Taking the place of
Yeah.
a big whatcha, because it's like episode 330 or something. Is that
330.
possibly true?
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Look at
sort of
that.
schedule it so it would be in place of our regular whatcha. In the past couple years, we've always done it like the first episode of January, but we had some other stuff we wanted to talk about. And so it got pushed back a little bit. But
Look,
that gave us more
Mike
chance
was
to do
like,
movies.
there's no way we're not talking about this vampire dick. And we were like, you got
Right.
it.
And then there's
Gotta
no way
do
we're
it.
not talking about this Marvel game that we've been playing.
Yep.
So we had to get those. And that I
Season.
liked it because it gave me more time to catch up on some
Mm.
2024
Mhm.
movies and fill out my
Mhm.
list. So I've been working on that.
I've been working on that too. It's going to be, I'm having difficulty ranking them because I've watched so many recently. I did appreciate having the extra couple weeks. I've watched almost like one a day nearly.
Yeah.
So it's really given me a
Yeah.
lot more time.
Same. I've been watching a bunch, and Oscar nominations have come out, so we can talk about that in relation to our favorite movies and things, and like snubs or what we think should have been nominated. So
I'll
that'll be
say
fun.
it didn't feel out of place that for like 2 weeks I've been doing, same as you guys, nightly prestige viewings. And then in the middle of that, I watched this film, which feels like a prestige film.
Yeah.
Should have been nominated for Best Actor. Right.
It is-
Absolutely.
Again, and this goes into my final thoughts, but reskin this movie as a World War II prison escape movie with humans instead of apes, it would be an awards contender for sure. Andy
I have
Serkis would have been
trying
nominated.
to
Yeah.
figure out a pun for Dirty Dozen since you've said it that involves apes or monkeys. I can't.
Damn
Yeah.
Dirty Dozen.
Mike, the damned Dirty
That's
Dozen.
incredible.
Get your
Yeah.
hands
Did it.
off me, you damn Dirty Dozen.
Get
Yeah.
12 of your dirtiest humans, Cornelius. We got to do a thing or whatever.
But just the imagery of these apes riding around on those horses with their guns in the snow, like when they meet up with like Nova's father and stuff, like it just feels so much like they're like traveling around Europe in World War II. I don't know why it feels that way to me, but it really does. And it's like, man, it's a war movie through and through. And again, I wasn't sure if I liked this one or Dawn more before I rewatched them.
Right.
I think this does edge out Dawn for me in that they're giving Matt Reeves a little more latitude to kind of do what he wants with the direction of these movies. And as good as Dawn is with the Koba Caesar rivalry, I think this one tops it a little bit for me. So they really do get better with every installment. We'll see if Kingdom continues that trend or not next month. But yeah, I think this is my favorite of the 3 of the Caesar trilogy.
I agree.
Yeah, see, I'll be a little bit contrarian. I think it's objectively the best movie. Like,
Yeah.
I think it has the strongest themings and stuff. I just really like The Dark Ape Rises. Like, I like Koba versus Caesar.
No, absolutely. I like that stuff.
Toby Kebbell's going crazy.
Koba the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Joker, baby.
Koba
I just
is
love that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Dark Knight trilogy because Koba is the best villain of the trilogy, and they're like, well, how are we going to top ourselves with Koba, similar to like Heath Ledger Joker.
Mhm.
But yeah, again, Dawn does have the boring human characters that weigh it down a little bit at parts for me. This movie, it's like they always thought, oh, we need a human character that the audience can identify with. We'll have James Franco, we'll have Jason Clarke, Kerry Russell, these humans. This one, they're like, no, we don't need a human audience character. The humans are solely the villains. It's all focusing on the apes. And I just really like that. So we don't need
Trust
Jason
your
Clarke.
audience. People love Caesar.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, well, they're like, we'll give you one human, but she's not speaking.
Right. It's like a mute little girl who's just kind of
Yeah.
there.
Just there. It's like Godzilla versus Kong. They were like, wait, what if we just don't have human characters? And everyone's like, yes, finally, in New Empire. They're like, thank you for listening. Yeah.
And this is kind of closest to that, where it's like, yeah, we don't need these humans. We don't need to identify humans. Kingdom kind of, I mean, even Kingdom has the adult Nova character, which we'll talk about. So that's more of the human character that we can identify with, but it's also very ape heavy.
Mike, what is the name of the bad ape in Godzilla X Kong New Empire?
It's the Scar King.
Scar Lord?
The
Scar
Scar
King?
Lord.
King.
The Scar Lord.
Don't you
Scar
ever
Scar
say that
Lord.
Scar
word.
King. And then little Skronkus is, who's that little?
And of course,
buddy?
little Skronkus.
Oh, yeah. What is his actual
Whee!
name? Nobody knows.
I think his name's Little Skronkus.
I don't know, but I like when he was used as a nunchuck. That's the peak part of that movie.
That was crazy. Yeah. Kong beats someone up with using his
With a
body.
baby. It'd be like if Caesar picked up Cornelius and beat the shit out of Winter in this.
Yep. They're kids, they bounce right back, you know. But yeah, this is the strongest one, like thematically, narratively, script wise.
Yeah.
It is objectively, like, it has the strongest performance. Andy Serkis is doing so much with the pain and the weight of leadership and his grief.
It's a culmination of his
incredible.
whole arc. It's the climax, it's the third act, and it works really well as a complete arc, I think. Yeah, and even the technical aspects, like, they're all impressive technically, right? But I think this one is just taking it to another level. The cinematography, the score, again, I gotta shout out. The score is so good in this one. There's moments where I was like this music is hitting so well with these emotional beats. And I actually went like on Spotify and was listening to the soundtrack because I love this soundtrack so much. There's a song called Exodus Wounds. There's a track on the soundtrack that's that piano melody, like, and then it goes into the soaring strings and the horns and everything. Man, I've been listening to that. It's so good. So
It's
underrated
great.
score. Yeah.
I think I was always talking about how they're adding more weather to these movies, but it does feel like the first one is like the end of, like, it's sunny and nice, and then we get rain where it's almost autumn and dawn, and then it's just full on winter, and it's like the seasons of Caesar's life we go through in this, and I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, he's got more gray in his face and his hair, and it's like you can see him aging.
He's got burst blood vessels in his eye from, like, getting beat up
Yeah.
in prison camp.
He was a fucking
incredible.
baby when we met him, and then he wore like overalls and was like,
Right.
I want to go to the forest.
He said, "What am I? Am I a pet? Am I a human?" John Lithgow said, "I'm not sick anymore."
Not sick anymore.
Right.
Where's Caesar?
Well, he did name Caesar, so, you know, respect.
It's gonna be so
That's
sad when the
right.
last words I ever say are that before Jason puts the gun in my mouth.
Not sick anymore. Oh, man. But yeah, what a trilogy. I know it continues in whatever Kingdom,
But this is special. This is so anchored by a character, and that's so important, Mike, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think the Caesar trilogy is how this will be referred going forward. Not the I think the Caesar trilogy is a good way to look at it if we have Kingdom following it.
Yes.
That movie has to
And they want to make
reconcile with not having that character anymore. Like, it's a legacy that must be lived up to or not.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
What does he
And they are
say to
planning
stop
to-
the whipping?
Oh, leave him.
Leave him.
Leave him almost goes as hard as pointing at the Bible.
Yeah.
We're saying no.
No. No.
Mm-hmm.
I know they are planning to make at least 2 more of these to make a second trilogy starting with Kingdom. So we'll see. Hopefully they can keep up the quality. And
Noah.
It's Noah's Ark.
Um,
Another Bible thing.
Noah's Ark.
That's right. And you mentioned, what's her name, Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver, right, who have been involved with a lot of these. And I said before, including Kingdom, I think they're still as producers or something on Kingdom. And I said before, the other things that they've worked on are Avatar. So they worked on the
Mhm.
James Cameron Avatar movies, and I see a lot of similarities with this franchise and
Mhm.
Avatar, where it's like obviously the effects element of it all, the motion capture, and the Na'vi are a lot like the apes, where they're fighting against the imperialist humans to protect
Mhm.
their tribe and protect their land. So
I mentioned in
um,
the Dawn episode that the technology is like these movies are possible because of what James Cameron pioneered with Avatar, as far as the
yeah,
performance capture. Like they're going hand in hand as the
and
technology
everyone talks
develops.
about how impressive Avatar is, and it is, especially Way of Water, with how much it's come since the first Avatar. But I think these movies are equally impressive with their effects.
Blending real life elements with the full CG apes is just something that's really like those are real horses and real snow, and to put CG
Yeah,
characters into that is it's more impressive to me almost than a completely CG Pandora, if I may.
God
yeah.
damn. Yes.
And
Yeah.
the Matt Reeves of it all, Matt Reeves really, them getting him for these two movies was like such a good move on the part of the producers in the studio, because no offense to Rupert Wyatt or anything, obviously Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the weakest of the trilogy, but Matt Reeves really coming into his own as a director, going on to direct the Batman, which we all love.
Andy
So
Serkis.
Andy
Andy
Serkis,
Serkis. And you know what's interesting
yeah,
about that, Jacob? I don't feel like that's a handcuff. Whereas when other directors are stuck doing superhero films, I'm like, oh, you're like giving up like 10 years of your life for that garbage.
yeah.
For Matt Reeves, I'm like, you elevate blockbusters. That's what you should be doing.
Absolutely. It's interesting because he hasn't really made his own original movies. He made Let Me In, the adaptation of Let the Right One In, the Danish vampire movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, he sticks to blockbuster franchises and just adds inspiration from other real movies, quote unquote, but puts his own spin on it. But you can see like his style coming through in these blockbuster movies, which a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of directors, would prefer to like the heavy hitters like Scorsese or someone like that, prefer to make their own. They prefer not to dabble in the franchises, blockbusters, and everything. But it really works for Matt Reeves, and that's where he's at his strongest. And it's interesting to see where he might go from these Batman movies, what he might do next.
I love his ability to let's say, I guess, hang art in the gift shop, to be able to tell these
Mike.
stories right in within the capital system of for-profit filmmaking. Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah,
Hang art in the gift
I
shop, trademark
love
me.
that wording. Yeah, boy.
absolutely. And with so many superhero movies have been made, so to put your own sort of unique spin on it, um, the Batman came out and was really a game changer with like how it was like taking inspiration from Seven and movies like that. And then you had the Joker around the same time that came out and was obviously very inspired by Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Uh, less good movie to me, but we have a lot of these instances where these popular blockbuster movies are taking inspiration from older movies, better movies, possibly. But I wonder if Matt Reeves was inspired in his career by someone like Tarantino, who references old movies constantly in
Mm,
his movies and remixes them.
that's true. It's
So I don't
interesting.
know, but yeah, but I'm excited for the Batman 2 whenever it eventually comes out.
Yeah,
Should
thanks
be
Matt
good.
Reeves for these, especially these last two movies. Yeah, these are awesome. Like
Yeah.
super
Oh, I'd be
underrated
so proud
franchise.
if these are part of my filmography. I mean, I hope
Oh,
for everybody's
absolutely.
like, yes, I did very good by the Apes franchise because he
And
did.
he probably doesn't get the Batman if he didn't make these movies. Like
No,
these kind of
not a chance.
people, DC was like, oh, this guy is someone to take notice of. So,
And I don't
um,
love Andy Serkis as Alfred though.
Mm.
yeah,
You just
not
don't
the
get a lot of
best.
Alfred in that movie, so it's
No, again, another human role for Andy Serkis, which is interesting.
Master
Um,
Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
and of course, he would go on to direct his own movies like Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and his Jungle Book movie.
Yes, yes, but maybe less successful at the hanging the art part than Matt Reeves is. But he's doing
Yeah.
his thing. Got a Gollum movie he might be directing or something, and
I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Really.
But speaking of
Um,
Gollum, though, yeah, to go from the humble beginnings of the motion cap guy to like, whoa, this guy can really act. Let's use his facial performance to like, literally the face of the art form that is performance capture. He's
Yeah.
also
Do
a
you
great
think he
actor
ever
regularly.
did the voice on set? Like he's in full Caesar mode and he's like, let me just slip a little Gollum in to make everybody laugh real quick.
That would be pretty funny. Gollum is home. I
Yeah.
can't do a good one,
Hello,
but
it's home.
yeah. Yeah,
Apes strong with Smeagol.
that's right. It ruins it. Anyway, I just want to, I guess, for my final. Crazy that this was. I can't separate the Foxness of it as like it was the backbone of Fox from like 1968 until the eventual unfortunate acquiring
Yeah.
or death of the thing. So just an iconic franchise, and to go out with
Right.
Caesar at the same time as Fox going out, yeah, it's poetic.
Yeah. And yeah, it wraps up this trilogy so well. It's such a good arc of Caesar's journey from little baby to, you know, leader of apes. What a journey it's been. And I'm excited to get into Kingdom next month. I think it'll be interesting to see where that leads us.
Yep. You know, Apocalypse Now, the horror. These movies are the humanity. The amount of
Yes.
humanity you get out of an ape, it's just incredible.
Humanity.
Love these movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, yeah, so inspired by Apocalypse Now. I had to believe that Matt Reeves like had the cast like watch that movie before, and like other, like The Great Escape and stuff. Like this movie really wears its references on its sleeve, but it just all works for me really well.
Yeah. It's like sometimes cliches are cliches because they work, or like there's tropes because they
Yeah.
work, but it's
That's
the
why I think
performances that carry it.
like directors who have seen a lot of old movies that work in blockbusters can make more interesting blockbusters like the Batman and these movies and stuff. So yeah, it's good to watch a lot
I
of
love
movies.
I love the smell of gorillas in the morning. Chimpanzee
Yeah,
don't surf.
That's
that's
right.
right.
Well, I mean, the monkey killer on the helmets, very much. Yeah, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Like a
But
snail on a razor's edge.
I like
All right.
when do they go surfing? Yeah,
All right, Marlon.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, yeah, I think Caesar is the Martin Sheen character in the end when he's infiltrating the Colonel's apartment. Like, so Apocalypse Now. They just need a
This is
riverboat.
the end of
Yeah.
the podcast. It's the end.
That's right.
Yep.
But it's been great talking about these movies with you guys. Excited to talk about next month and wrap up this series with our bonus episode, of course, and then move on to another series. So we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, which again, you can always vote on. Mike's lifting up the symbol of our tribe here.
Yes.
But remember, write in at normies_like_us. You can tell us, oh, if you're about to wrap up these long forms, I'd like it if you guys did a shorty. Colin mentioned the Bill and Ted's. Those are 3. I want to hear the normies do that. Yeah, whatever. Well, sure.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do whatever.
Yeah, give us
Just like
suggestions.
franchises.
Yeah, we'll have to debate this. I have my idea, which I've mentioned, but we'll have to talk about it and we'll see what we think.
And tell me who
definitely give us
Roxanne played. I need to know. Where's
Yeah.
Roxanne? Yeah.
All right.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Well, check us out on YouTube, as always. We've been your hosts. This is Bad Colin.
This is Sad Mike.
This is, let me shave my head real quick, put some shaving cream on there. Colonel Jacob.
All right.
Blood makes the grass grow. Don't forget that.
Pod
It's a
together
holy
strong.
war.